Maybe it's because I'm constantly fighting, destroying, that I'd actually like to save something for once. Especially someone who is judged to be lower class, like my Kakarot. The low-class Saiyan Bardock hops through the night on the planet Vegeta, pod in arm. His wife Gine goes behind him, wiping tears with each jump. The two lay the pod down far enough away from the city. They're about to make their ultimate choice for the sake of their son. I programmed this to a distant planet called Yardrat. Its people are relatively weak in power, but powerful in technique and ability. Frieza doesn't seem to have any interest in it, but if he ever does, he will be protected. We'll see you real soon. Don't forget us, Kakarot. The pod blasted off, and a month later, Gine, Bardock, and nearly every single Saiyan would die by Frieza's hand. Kakarot, however, traveled across the stars and towards his destination, planet Yardrat. The pod crash-landed down the side of a mountain. Several pink, yellow, and green creatures sped towards it, curiously circling around it, until the hatch door opened. The child, no bigger than a basket, came rolling out mid-tears. The Yardrats did not know how to react to his cries, some freaking out and running around, but a single Yardrat approached it, holding the child in his arms.
My brothers and sisters, calm your minds. This child has arrived from the stars in distress. Your worry is only making his situation worse. Now, who might you be?
The pod had little to no information about the child. No name, no family, only a planet of origin, Vegeta. Gasps filled the air when they heard this, but Pibara insisted that they remain calm. This is but a Saiyan child. Their strength may be legendary, but this one in particular is but a babe, with a power low enough that they could easily deal with it. Was he sent out here to destroy the planet? Perhaps, but a crying child is not something the Yardrat could ignore. They had time to change the child's life. He was given a second chance. Pibara thought this, knowing full well that a few nights before Kakarot arrived, he sensed a great disturbance, as if millions of voices cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced. He looked at the boy. He had stopped crying and instead showcased a contagious smile. Pibara returned with that smile, asking his brothers what name he should be given. The Yardrats finally agreed on a name, after some deliberation. Shira, taken from shirataki noodles. But for the sake of our story, I'll continue calling him Goku. The Yardrats cheered for their new brother. They brought him into their home, where Pibara would welcome him with open arms. Many Yardrats did not know where he came from, or who he was. Pibara largely kept it a secret as to not make his people afraid, but he raised him with care. He was violent, but Pibara knew what he was getting himself into. Anytime the kid would rage out, he could simply take some of his ki with 4 spirit fission. Even so, he was difficult to deal with. Pibara and the other Yardrats raised the boy on a strict ki-based regimen. He learned a lot, and his mind slowly calmed down. He became stronger than the Goku we know as a child, especially when it comes to ki-based techniques. Even so, he could never get to the point his peers did. Pibara wondered why. Was it as simple as the fact that he was a Saiyan? That wasn't entirely wrong. Goku was always full of energy. His mind would often become unfocused, to the point where he'd fall from the high peaks of Yardrat. This caused a certain Yardrat named Hatsuka to tease and bully Goku. This was discouraged by everyone else, but Hatsuka was proud of his abilities, being able to duplicate himself at a young age, something that was reserved for higher levels. Even so, Goku took his teasing as a challenge to better himself. He wanted to prove Hatsuka wrong, and the two formed a sort of rivalry. In the end, the young Yardrat and the Saiyan boy spent a lot of time together, even if Hatsuka would deny being his friend. Goku continued to practice his instant transmission daily, traveling around the planet, but Goku wanted more. He wanted to explore other worlds out there and understand the Saiyans. He knew very little about them or their situation. All he knew was that he had a tail and that he needed to be careful around a full moon. There was a section of the city around to where he had landed that was completely destroyed after he ignored Pibara's comments and transformed at the sight of a full moon, but that was long ago. He had helped rebuild ever since then, and knows better than to let that Ozaru take him over. But there were so many mysteries about where he came from and who he was. He tried to focus on the most powerful key signature he could find. This proved to be a problem.
Child, careful. You need to be able to return.
But I can see it. I can see something strong. It's scary. It's powerful.
Don't go, my son. You don't know the dangers of...
But some energy around there. It feels familiar, almost like family.
Wait, don't!
Goku disappeared before Pibara could reach him, into the unknown. Pibara wanted to go after him, but he couldn't locate him right away. He hoped his son would be okay, as he put all the other Yardrats to work sensing his power. Meanwhile, Goku appeared in a strange location, a spaceship filled with aliens from all over the galaxy, all wearing similar armor, and a strange device on their face. They all turned to look at him. Goku met eyes with a trio in particular. One, with long hair, mouthed something to the others, which Goku couldn't hear over the sounds of the soldiers moving in towards him. It looked like he said something about a carrot, while the short one cocked an eyebrow at him. A soldier moved in front of everyone, a tall blue one with a very flamboyant demeanor.
You? How did you? A tail? A Saiyan? Vegeta, who is this?
What? Just because I'm a Saiyan must mean I know all Saiyans? I bet you think we all look the same too, Zarbon. Tuh. Goku started to run away, as Vegeta commented on how he really didn't expect any other survivors. But he was so weak, he didn't even care. Ki Blast flew past Goku as he shot right back, one even hitting the Saiyan with long hair. It surprisingly hurt him quite a bit. Vegeta could tell that his power level wasn't up to par with his, thanks to his scouter, but that energy attack, it was stronger than he should be. One of Zarbon's men tries to grab Goku as he teleports away, only managing to rip off some of his Yardrat wrappings. He was gone. Goku reappeared in a distant planet, filled with strange, little but friendly-looking people. Goku was just glad to be out of the fire. He pulled a cloak from a rack and put it over himself. He didn't know what he was, but he was very hungry. He took an apple from a street vendor, who followed after him, yelling at him to pay for it. But just as it seemed like he was going to escape, a young boy appeared in front of him. He shot right at his feet, shooting a warning to tell him to stop, and asking him to pay for what he took. Goku timidly said that he had little money. He just appeared here. He doesn't know where he is. The other kid looked at him carefully. His face looked somewhat familiar, but he couldn't quite make it out. But it was clear from the look on his face that he really didn't have any money. Without thinking much, the kid simply paid for the apple, as he asked Goku just who he was. Goku gave his Yardrat name. The young boy introduced himself. His name was Granola, and this was Planet Cereal. If he wanted food and a spaceship, he can help him. Thus, he led Goku to his home. There, a green man introduced himself. His name was Monaito, and he was a Namekian. Goku was surprised. He had heard of other races like this. He had an incredible ki presence, not dissimilar to the Yardrats. At their place, Goku ate good food, as he told some stories about how he was adopted by Planet Yardrat, how he's still learning to teleport and stuff. He told it all in a very excited way. It was contagious, and both Monaito and Granola listened carefully. It truly was a mystical adventure that he'd been on already, but Goku told it as if he had so much more to see still. Monaito suggested that if he can teleport anywhere, but doesn't know exactly where his planet is, he could try looking for a key presence similar to his own. On planet Namek, there will surely be able to help him more. Plus, Cereal's in the middle of nowhere. He's far away from his planet as he could be. Goku thanked them all for their help. He was learning so much. Goku finished off his story by saying that he teleported into a strange spaceship, full of weird people, including others with tails. Others with tails? Well, yeah, I'm assuming they were Saiyans too. That's what I was looking for, but they didn't seem very friendly. I'll have to find another way to figure out more about them. But it looks like it's time for me to go. Thank you, Monaito. Thank you, Granola. I'll never forget you guys. But wait, why are you concerned with Saiyans? Me? Well, because I'm a Saiyan too. Granola finally saw that a little tail was poking out from under his cloak. Granola reached out to ask him more, to stop him from teleporting away. He couldn't believe he had just helped a Saiyan, but it was too late. Goku had teleported, finding Planet Namek. Granola punched the floor. That could have been his last chance to know what happened that fateful day on Planet Cereal, to avenge his family. But Monaito stayed quiet. That kid didn't seem like all the other Saiyans, but he did seem familiar. That face, those eyes. Why did he know him? He wondered if they could ever see him again. Goku wondered the same thing as he appeared on Planet Namek. The sound of teleportation scares away some birds, while Goku's eyes clear up to see a lush green world. The key presence here was different from Yardrat, but incredibly powerful. Goku wasn't sure where to start, but he had logged onto someone's key presence. Who could it be? He looked down, realizing he was in a very high peak, standing on a house. As he took a step to fling himself up to fly, he felt someone reach out and grab his shoulder. Goku felt a cold sweat drop from his forehead as he quickly turned. A tall Namekian with an incredible ki presence stood tall, arms behind his back. He wouldn't let go of Goku, asking just what the hell he was doing at the Grand Elder's home. A friend named Monaito told me to come here, that you guys could help me get home.
Well, you're looking at the wrong place. Go home.
That's what I'm trying to do. Let me go. Goku pushed the man away, which surprised the Namekian warrior. It had been a long time since he was able to fight someone. The warrior fired a blast, which Goku avoided by jumping and propelling himself to Nail. Suddenly, as Nail was going to block the first attack, there were two Gokus. He had used his limited ability to duplicate himself to attack from different angles. Nail defended well against him, but he was stronger than he seemed. The Namekian grabbed both Gokus by the neck, dragging him down to the ground and slamming him. Goku wiped some blood from his lip, but smiled happily. He was getting his blood pumping. Nail cocked an eyebrow. Who the hell was this kid to think that this was fun? Nail continued to blast at Goku, who was hit, but slowly managed to get 2 fingers up to his forehead and began teleporting around the blasts. This caused Nail to take a pause. That was a Yardrat move, wasn't it? He was a Saiyan. Goku rushed down at Nail, but the Namekian intercepted the attack and grabbed Goku by the face, slamming him against the column of the Grand Elder's home.
The Yardrats may have fallen to you, Saiyan, but we won't go down as easily.
But I didn't do anything.
No, enough. That boy, bring him to me. I suspect he isn't our enemy, but he's a
Saiyan, but I'm not with them. I just want to go back home, to Yardrat. Nail dropped Goku and rolled his eyes. The two returned to the Grand Elder's home, where Goku explained the events, and how he wishes to return home. The Grand Elder smiled at Goku's story. He was quite a resilient kid.
You have been on quite a few adventures already, but I'm sorry, child. Our brother Monaito was wrong. We do not have any kind of spacecraft to give, nor a teleporting technique.
I see. Sorry for the bother.
What we do have, however, are Dragon Balls. Sir, you don't mean...
The Grand Elder smiled at Goku, who looked at him in wonder. Guru explained that a set of challenges are required for those seeking the Dragon Balls. No one has used them in many years, but the Grand Elder suspected Goku could do it. 3 wishes would be granted to those who pass. Goku's mind was still more focused on the fight he had with Nail, but a set of trials could be fun. He could use one of the wishes to return home, but what about the other 2? Nail was unsure about Goku going through these trials, but he did have an infectious spirit. When the Grand Elder saw this slight smile on Nail, he told him to accompany Goku, but not help him unless it's 100% necessary. Nail complained, but a single move from the Grand Elder's hand made him stop talking. Thus, Goku and Nail set to the various Namekian villages to find the Dragon Balls and undergo these trials set by the elders. Some trials were difficult, others easy. The first trial gave a false impression of how easy it would be, as he was told by the Grand Elder that he passed the first one. Help will be granted to those who seek it on planet Namek, thus getting the first ball. This Goku is different than the one we know, so even if he isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, he is smart enough to pass tests and quizzes that required some logic. A puzzle that required math was tough for the young Saiyan, but he managed it in the end, with 1 or 2 whispers in the ear from Nail. According to Nail, he just wanted him out of the world, but he secretly liked the kid. He gained the 6-star ball. Namekians are very much community-oriented, so one of the trials was simply cultivating alongside the villages. Goku did it in a flash, but he really enjoyed it. According to the Grand Elder, the Dragon Balls are linked to every Namekian, so if you are to take something from the planet, then you must give something back. It was peaceful, as he planted crops in every single one of the villages. Goku got the 3-star ball from this trial. Nail really got to appreciate Goku through them all. He was never scared of anything, and even though he was a Saiyan, he was more interested in learning and growing rather than just destroying things. Him and Nail continued to train every now and then together. After all, these tests took around a week, with Goku insisting that the next time he will win for sure. The next trial was said to be a mental one, where he waved his hand across the sky as it turned to darkness. Namek has multiple suns, so the only time the natives see anything remotely close to night is during special occasions or when the dragon is summoned. Even Goku himself felt this was special, with Goku being tasked with counting every star out there in space. Goku sits there, actually counting for a while, but then pauses, not sure how to count that high, before saying, well, there's a lot. Well, actually, there's not really enough, is there? I mean, there's still way more darkness up there than there are stars. The Namekians looked at him in surprise. He had come to that conclusion faster than many Namekians do. Goku was aware of the emptiness and the void as the main constant in the universe, despite the infinity of stars in the sky. It is that same emptiness in his mind which he will need for the next trial. For the spiritual trial, he was brought into a cave where a statue of Purunga was hidden, the statue which had been used to create the dragon in the first place. There, Goku was left alone with his thoughts to meditate. As he did, Purunga's eyes lit up. He could hear the Grand Elder's voice, but he imagined the dragon. Purunga asked him what would become of him if he died. Goku responded by saying that he'd just hang out there with other souls in other worlds. Purunga corrected himself. That's not what he meant. When he is dead and gone, what will it mean for him to be dead? Goku thought about it, picturing himself in his Yardrat outfit. He said that he hoped his family and friends would remember him, that he's remembered for being strong. For Purunga, this was a weak answer. Though it was true, it showed that Goku was not where he should be, but the Grand Elder believed in him. The fact that he saw death as just another aspect of his life meant a great deal, but he made sure to make Goku promise to return and give a new answer once he had grown more. Goku acknowledges that he probably wasn't ready for that question and that he will make sure to return. He was given the next Dragon Ball. The next challenge was a physical one. Goku was excited to fight, but the Grand Elder explained that it wouldn't be that simple. Up on the highest peak of the Namekian largest mountain laid a bird who guards a Dragon Ball. She never slept because of the shine of the two suns. She has a high-pitched whistle that deafens any Namekian that approaches it. He needs to find a way to get to it without having the bird become aware, and he can't attack the bird. Goku thought this was going to be easy as he climbed up the mountain and got to the Dragon Ball. The sun blared in his eyes as soon as he was up top. The nest faced the sun directly, though the backside of it was covered with trees. No wonder the bird didn't sleep. As soon as he reached for the ball, the bird attacked. It was huge and Goku knew he couldn't attack it. The high-pitched whistle wasn't a problem though. This test was made with Namekians in mind. Because of that, Nail couldn't accompany Goku up there. He would have lost his hearing if he did. Goku tried again and again, racking his brain for over 2 days. But everything he did made the bird attack. But why? This was a dumb physical challenge. The only physical thing he did was climb the thing over and over again. If only it would go to sleep. That's when Goku had an idea. Nail went to check on Goku, only to see a large gathering of people around him. He was doing the unthinkable. He was grabbing onto the foot of the mountain and slowly pushing it. Was he crazy? Nail yelled at Goku to stop this at once, only to realize that he had already turned the mountain halfway around, away from the sun. Nail couldn't help but be impressed by the ingenuity, so much so that he didn't stop him. Goku kept on pushing, his aura sparking up. Now this was a physical challenge. He could have destroyed the mountain if he wanted to, but turning it was different. It was impressive. It didn't take too long before it was completely turned, with the bird for the first time in a long time not directly facing the sun, slowly falling asleep. Goku reached the ball, and everyone was left in disbelief. The final trial was one everyone thought Goku would pass with flying colors. He was to sit between two Ajiza trees, a symbol of peace, age, and strength of Namek. He was to meditate and reveal to the elders the secrets of his heart. An elder with a scale stood before him, a leaf of the tree on one side and nothing on the other, though he suggested that the empty side represented the Saiyan's heart. His heart had to be lighter than a single leaf to prove his worth. The ritual took a while. It was also a test of patience in that way. At first, it was crazy to the elders, as the scale leaned to his heart being lighter, but it slowly started to dip the other way. As they began exploring just who Goku was, the darkness within began to show, the dark power of the Ozaru, and perhaps something even beyond. And Goku struggled, as Nail and the Grand Elder rooted for him. But there was a boom in power, a flash of golden light, as Goku was lifted up by his raw aura. His eyes flashed green. For a split second, the purity of his heart blinked in and out, as something dark seemed to seep through. Goku fell to the ground panting. He was okay. One of the elders stepped up, saying that he had failed the final trial. Nail was confused.
You can't expect us to give the Dragon Ball to someone with that kind of spirit within, but the kid isn't like that. Has he not proven this through his actions?
Goku stayed quiet. Nail continued to defend him, but the Saiyan stood up and moved a hand over him. Nail, it's fine. It just means I haven't trained enough. I can do it. I know I can. I can control those powers, I know it! Goku wasn't even sure what the second flash was. The first one was the Ozaru, something Pibara had been trying to tackle, but the second one was different. Neither good nor bad, just a force. The Namekians didn't see that though. Murray, one of the elders, spoke up to give his vote for Goku, followed by another elder, explaining that though that power was terrifying, it didn't seem evil. Suddenly, the voice of the Grand Elder was heard in their minds.
Village elders, hear me. This boy has proven himself. He only wishes to return home. This trial was made to see who it is we're giving the Dragon Balls to, not for us to judge them unfairly. Nail, please obtain the 4-star ball and return to me.
Goku couldn't believe it. As he cheered loudly, Nail smirked, taking him to the Grand Elder. The Elder who spoke up against Goku handed the Dragon Ball over. They were all loyal to the Grand Elder after all. Nail summoned the dragon, with Goku unable to believe his eyes at the enormous, muscular dragon appearing before him. He was a lot bigger than he imagined. Nail asked Goku for the 3 wishes, but still Goku couldn't think of anything but one. Nail insisted that he must use them. I wish for the crops we planted to grow healthy, that the planet and its people can enjoy the fruits of our labor. Nail and the Grand Elder were surprised. Did this kid not want anything for himself? Through his adventures, Goku had learned the value of planet Namek and its people, but beyond that, he just wanted to go home. The Grand Elder was proud, as he nodded at Nail with approval. Nail recited the wish, as a reign like never before began on planet Namek, giving life to the whole world. After a terrible drought years ago, this was truly a magnificent wish. Nail told Goku that he still had 2 more. Better make them good. He can wish for stuff for himself. Goku thought about it for a second, and finally settled. If he had to wish for something, then it would be for lots of food, just like the one Monaito made for him. He'll take it home and maybe force the Yardrats to improve their menu. The Grand Elder laughed, and the second wish was fulfilled, as a pile of food landed by Goku, who instantly dug in. Well, thanks everyone. I will be sure to visit soon. My final wish is...
Wait, child. I have something for you. You have truly proven yourself as Namekian in spirit. So, beyond what you've gotten, I give you all of that, plus a little extra.
The Grand Elder placed a hand on Goku's head as he felt his energy explode. This was the most incredible boost the Grand Elder had ever seen. Could he defeat Nail now? No, not yet. But he definitely could one day. Goku smiled at the Grand Elder, lifting his fist up for a bump. The Grand Elder was confused but responded with the same fist bump. Goku turned to face Nail, revealing that on his back was now the Namekian symbol for strength, the Ajiza tree. I'll take a second to say that no, this isn't like Goku getting orange or anything like that. I just wanted to allude to it and have the symbol represent his bond with the Namekians, before one of you asks. Anyways, Goku said goodbye to his friends, making Nail promise to train, as next time he will win. A flash of light engulfed him and the food, as finally Goku returned home to planet Yardrat. Hatsuka saw him first, running with a huge hug. The Yardrats began to gather, asking him where he was and how he found his way back. Goku told them the story as Pibara made his way to the front. He smiled at his son, explaining that when he first got to Namek, he sensed his presence. He could have gotten him, but it felt like Goku was doing something important. He assumed Goku could feel his presence too, couldn't he? Goku chuckled. Perhaps he did sense him from Namek. Pibara laughed, proud of him. It was clear that his trials had proved him to be stronger than ever before. It was time to continue his training. It was time for him to find a new master. Hatsuka gulped. He didn't mean...
That's right. You have to seek out Master Soba.
The crowd went quiet, but Goku was more excited than ever. Once he masters his techniques and grows a bit more, he could fight Nail again and find out more about the Saiyans. The Yardrats stayed quiet in confusion. Even after all that, Goku still wanted more? But Pibara, the Grand Elder, and Nail all knew that Goku would one day play a role in the fate of the universe. He just needed some help along the way. On the Frieza spaceship Goku landed at a few days before, Zarbon approached the throne room. The Emperor didn't turn around as the soldier explained.
Lord Frieza, that kid that appeared here, we analyzed his chest wrapping, no doubt about it now. Those were Yardrat rags he was wearing.
A Saiyan living on Yardrat. Curious. Zarbon, enlist Vegeta and his crew to find him. There could be more hiding.
On it, sir. Master Soba lives at the tallest peak of the planet. He is quite different than most of us, as he has honed his skills far beyond any. Once, long ago, he was the protector of Yardrat, but his violent nature turned him into an outcast.
Kakarot, whose adoptive name of planet Yardrat is Shira, has returned from a long adventure on planet Namek. Now Pibara, his master and father figure, tasks him with finding Master Soba and furthering his abilities. Hatsuka, his best friend, appears terrified at the sound of Soba's name. He was legendary, but also notoriously dangerous. Goku, on the other hand, didn't mind a challenge. He had been on a mystical adventure for all 7 Dragon Balls and realized just how many strong people out there there can be. He needs to grow, so he can challenge Nail again, but above that, to go out into space once more. However, this time, he wouldn't be afraid of anything. He still had so much to discover about the Saiyans. He had first come to encounter them when he accidentally teleported to a ship full of dark energy and only heard whispers of the word Saiyan. Hatsuka didn't want to accompany Goku, but Pibara insisted that they venture together and learn along the way. Hatsuka had previously been one of Goku's only friends and one of the few that didn't mind his constant yearning for battle. Even so, Master Soba was beyond anything he was willing to put up with. Goku and Hatsuka fly up the mountain until being met with some kind of strange power that forces them down. It was not dissimilar to how the Kami of Earth can detect and prevent planes from coming close to the lookout. Goku and his friend landed down and continued on foot until finally arriving at the mouth of a large cave with something inside of it. Goku looked around as Hatsuka yelled out for him to come back and be careful. Goku focused. The air was thin and still. It was peaceful but scary. Suddenly, his eyes jolted open as he jumped up to protect Hatsuka from something swimming in the fog by their feet. The creature sliced across Goku's back, cutting through the Namekian tree symbol. Goku spun on his heel to face the assailant. His cackle echoed in the cave, as it seemed he had attacked from every angle. Goku had cuts all over him, but he kept his friend from harm. Tired of trying to reason with what seemed to be a mindless creature, Goku exploded his aura, pushing back the fog and the creature. Goku pulled back his arm, ready to fire a powerful ki blast, but a different blast came flying in right in front. Goku dodged it just in time as a hooded figure descended down.
No blast, just your physical strength.
I'm not playing your game here. I'm looking for...
I know you are, and unless you can defeat Yaki, you don't stand a chance with Soba's training.
Goku cursed under his breath, realizing there was no arguing. The creature's speed was incredible, as it launched itself at Goku, once again cutting him. This time, however, Goku grabbed Yaki's tail as he swung across. Goku slammed him down, and though it hurt Yaki, it also pushed himself across the field, taking Goku with him and slamming him against the wall. But Goku wouldn't let go, pressing his heels firmly on the ground to stop Yaki from getting away. The creature kept on trying to speed off, realizing that Goku would not let go. He was just too strong, but he had to keep trying. No way this kid could win. Yaki pushed himself with all his might, but that's what Goku was waiting for, letting go, causing all the momentum Yaki had to send him launching into the other wall and through it, ending up knocked out against the tree outside. Goku sighed in relief, tying some of his Yardrat wrappings around his cuts as the hooded figure stepped towards him. Hatsuka yelled at Goku to watch his back, as it was now his turn to reluctantly defend Goku. Hatsuka got in a battle stance in front of his friend.
Save your strength. He's okay. In fact, I'm impressed he's not dead. Who are you? Why have you brought a Saiyan to my home?
We were sent here by Pibara. He said you could help Shira control his power and get even stronger. Soba looked at the Saiyan kid up and down. Despite being gravely injured, he remained up and ready to fight. It was impressive. Even so, Soba refused to let him train. He didn't do that anymore, not even for his old friend, Pibara. But Goku cursed. This was his chance to get stronger and learn to control that power. He wasn't going to give up. He told Hatsuka that he could leave if he wanted, but Goku would not return home until he trained with Soba. Hatsuka called Goku crazy and told him he wouldn't leave him there. What he didn't expect was Goku to really remain there for days upon days, with Soba not saying a word to them. Goku still worked hard daily to continue his training, even without Pibara. Goku, Hatsuka, and Yaki all fought and trained together. Yaki, though he scared the kids at first, actually started to like them, even if he told Goku he'd never let him beat him again. Although the Yardrat wanted him gone, he had admired the tenacity, but his form was all wrong. One night, as the kids slept, Yaki approached his master.
Master Soba, that kid has improved already in the time he's been here. His strength is unbelievable, as if it had been awakened.
I've made up my mind, Yaki. Enough. You rest.
Sir.
But Yaki's words remained in his mind. He was very much interested in the Saiyan's power. One day, as Goku practiced his beams, Soba sighed and telepathically told Goku that he needed to straighten his back. Goku listens, not sure where that voice came from. That one action was enough to kickstart more coaching, which turned into training for the two boys over time. Before he knew it, Soba was finally their master. None of them actually acknowledged it officially. That would have just angered him. His training was brutally difficult. But Soba began to like the kids, even if they did get on his nerves. Saiyans were known to be terrifying creatures, but this kid was everything but that. He wanted to get stronger and fight powerful beings, sure, but not hurt or conquer. Perhaps there was hope still for that race and their planet. With Soba's help, Goku learned to get stronger and really control his ki. his instant transmission nearly perfected, Hatsuka left the training a year and a half in, as he had gotten what he wanted, but Goku remained. Soba continued to train him in martial arts as the single strongest Yardrat. This is exactly what Goku wished. No, yearned for. Under Soba's guidance, Goku traveled through planet Yardrat, meeting various tribes of his brothers, some of which took some time to convince he was okay with. Being with Soba helped, as he was heralded as a wise sage, even if he terrified a lot of them. In fact, Soba had been a rival warlord to some of them. Alongside Goku, they rebuilt some of the strained relationships between the tribes. Goku went on to quest for a powerful Yardrat, finally making him happy and allowing Goku and Soba to pass along. One particular group lived in a floating island. Unlike anything Goku had ever seen, it linked together with Wild, sharing a bond with them. Goku couldn't exactly do the same, but his appreciation for animals helped him tame one of these whale-like creatures, just one of his many adventures. This was not unlike the harvesting he did on Namek. Goku realized that the flora and fauna of every part of the universe was important, living and breathing. However, no amount of training could have prepared him for the threat that was about to show its face. Soba had developed his own style of martial arts, specifically focused on using hand-to-hand combat. Soba didn't speak about his past very much, but there were hints that Hatsuka picked up on, and sometimes even Shira. Things such as saying,
"Back when I lived with them."
Or the fact that he never relied on Ki Blast, except for the one time he tried to stop Goku from firing his own. To Hatsuka, it seemed as if Soba had cut himself off from the rest of Yardrat society. Goku had approached Hatsuka about him one night, and Hatsuka revealed that he didn't know much about the master prior to this, only that the elders always say to stay clear of this place, and that he was powerful and terrifying. Goku had grown to respect his master's privacy, much like he had grown physically too. Goku now towered over Hatsuka and Yaki, although they called him a pipsqueak when he first arrived. Surely, many Yardrats would only recognize him by his key signature now, but to Soba, he remained a child with a lot to learn. Goku rested in a hut in the neighboring Yardrat village, with Soba meditating by Yaki. Suddenly, out of nowhere, screaming was heard. Soba quickly jolted up and swung open the curtain of the hut, revealing an intense fury of explosions. As Yardrats ran back and forth, the chief of the tribe stopped in front of Soba, yelling at him that his little friend brought them death and destruction. Soba eagerly defended Yaki, before being cut off.
"I'm not talking about that pet of yours. You're Saiyan. His people have come looking for him."
Soba was left speechless as the chief continued to yell at him to get Goku out of there and give him to them. Otherwise, lives will be lost. Inside the hut, Goku heard it all. Without speaking a single word, he knew what he had to do. Soba wouldn't let him do it alone, but if they were really there for him, then... Goku blasted out of the hut, with Soba reaching out to try and stop him. Soba grabbed Yaki and placed 2 fingers on his forehead, teleporting in front of Goku.
"Stop! You have to think this through.
They're going to kill everyone!
And they'll kill you too."
No, I can do this, Master. This is my time to prove it to you and everyone else that this is my home too. Sense their ki. I can do it.
The determination, the fire in Goku's eyes made Soba let go for a second, as Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead and disappeared. Soba sighed. He hoped that he had done the right thing. In the central Yardrat city, Vegeta sat on top of his pod while he watched Nappa, Raditz, and the Cybermen attack the Yardrats. Cybermen spread through the city as Hatsuka tried to take them down, defeating 1 or 2 of them, but can't keep up. Even so, they are surprised by this power. Most Yardrats tried to talk. They are a race of peaceful beings. They did not want to fight. But as the city's fire began to spread through the forest, they realized there was no other option but to escape. But before they could, Nappa laughed, lifting 2 fingers up. The terrified Yardrats took a step back, not realizing that the whole area would be decimated in moments. But just as he began generating the explosion, Vegeta yelled out,
"Nappa, stop!" "Huh? What is it, Vegeta?"
He was interrupted by the sound of teleportation, as before the 3 Saiyans stood one more. Goku's hair moved along with the wind, as did his tail, confirming that yes, this was who they were after. Raditz perked up. He was the spitting image of his father.
Shira!
Enough. I know you're here for me. Leave the rest alone.
Huh, a coward, huh? I thought you'd put up more of a fight than that. But I shouldn't be surprised. You're the brother of Raditz after all.
A cold ran down Goku's spine. Brother. The Yardrat stayed quiet as Raditz took steps forward.
Kakarot, is that really you?
My name's Shira, and this is my home, and none of you are welcomed here.
No doubt about it. You don't remember us,
Do ya? You look familiar. Wait, I remember your hair. I saw you when I went to that ship. Why'd you come after me? Raditz explained that Lord Frieza had requested them to find him and see if there are any other Saiyan survivors on Yardrat, and if so, to bring them over and make them his soldiers. Vegeta motions to Raditz to take care of his brother, while the long-haired Saiyan proclaims that this planet should be in ruins by now. Surely he hadn't forgotten his mission, had he? Goku was confused as Raditz revealed that Goku had been sent there to destroy that planet. Goku looked down at the ground. His suspicions were right after all then, but Pibara spoke up.
Shira, do not listen to them. It doesn't matter what you were sent for. You survived your planet's demise and became one of us.
Raditz laughs. He doesn't have time to hear this. He's just gonna knock him out and take him. But Raditz's attack never connects. Even though a clean punch was thrown at Goku, he was able to move to the side and simply slam Raditz down. Raditz quickly got up, trying to hit Goku in the jaw with his head, but Goku dodged it just as easily, instead hitting Raditz in the back with his fist and sending him into rubble. Nappa was surprised that other Yardrat they were fighting seemed to be on par, if not a little weaker than Raditz. Surely Kakarot couldn't be that much stronger. Raditz tried to get up, but Nappa told him to just lay down and let the Cybermen handle this. They can never count on a low-class trash like that. Goku was bothered. Why were they talking to their own teammate like this? Nappa orders his Cybermen to kill Kakarot and prove just how useless Raditz is. But just like before, Goku quickly begins to take them out one by one. Hatsuka helped as much as he could, although he was already hurt. He wanted to support his friend. Raditz, his head down in shame, realizes something is wrong. His scouter read Kakarot's power level as weaker than his own, but when he attacked, for a split second it burned up. From behind, Raditz felt someone land, but they paid no attention to him. It was Soba and Yaki, watching on proudly as their student defended their planet. One Cyberman jumps to kill Goku with an explosion, which actually hurts Goku, but doesn't take him out. The rest of the Cybermen look in shock. That was their ultimate move, a desperation tactic. If that didn't take him down, then none of them could. They look at Nappa for guidance, unsure if to keep fighting, but in retaliation, Vegeta shoots a beam that kills one of them. Goku can't believe that Vegeta would simply kill one of his own, jumping in to protect the rest from attacks. The Cybermen are surprised and confused, but aware enough that they should run, quickly spreading into the wilderness and disappearing.
Look at you. What an honorable warrior. You make me sick. Your bleeding heart stunt won't fool anyone here.
Clearly, you don't see life as precious. It doesn't matter to me if they are just your lackeys. I can sense their ki, I can feel them alive, and I won't have you hurt them. Nappa calls them traitors as he jumps down with a loud boom. Raditz struggles to stand up as he says, "His power level, it quickly fluctuates. Don't underestimate him, Nappa." Vegeta turns to say, "I have no use for a Saiyan who can't move. Either die or shut up, Raditz." Nappa laughs as he checks the scouter once more just in case, and seeing that indeed Goku's resting power was 1000. But as he moved to look at Raditz and yell at him, he also read Soba's power, to which the scouter instantly exploded on his face. Nappa sped at the ground. Yeah, that thing had to be broken. Nobody on this planet was strong enough to defeat them. The battle against Nappa is much harder fought, but Goku clearly still has the upper hand. The brute can't help but attack mindlessly. Goku does get caught in a move where Nappa attempts to take his hand completely off, and though it doesn't work, it does nearly break that arm. Goku responds by simply slamming his other elbow into Nappa, causing him to spit out blood. Nappa begins to get desperate, his moves even wilder than before. In an attempt to gain an edge, Nappa gets an idea. From the spectating Yardrans, Nappa focused on Pibara, rushing down to hold him hostage. Nappa grabs him and points his keyboard at him, threatening to kill him if he doesn't come with them. Pibara tells Goku not to worry and just attack. Goku doesn't hesitate and does as told, appearing before Nappa with his instant transmission and slamming him in the face, as Pibara uses his size manipulation to become tiny and slip right from under Nappa's grasp. As Goku brings Nappa down with a broken nose, he yells at his Yardran brethren to escape. "I don't care if you're Saiyans. I don't care if he's my brother. The Yardran people are my family now." As he says this, a huge number of Yardrans behind him teleport away to another part of the planet, leaving the desolated wasteland to their battle. Soba and Yaki watch on proudly. Meanwhile, Pibara gets asked by one of them if they can count on Goku. Pibara says yes. Goku and Vegeta stare each other down and quickly burst into battle, each punch causing shockwaves through the landscape. Vegeta realizes that he's not going to just win like that. Goku may be able to teleport, but Vegeta is fast. As Goku tried to focus to teleport in front of Vegeta, Vegeta already appeared in front of him and slammed his fist against his chest, grabbing his head and slamming his knee against his face. Vegeta was a savage warrior, and the two looked at each other while Goku wiped some blood off his nose. "I'll give you one last chance. to get out of my planet.
You don't get it, do you, Kakarot? This isn't about you anymore. I'm taking you and this entire world with me. I don't care how a low-class Saiyan like you got this strong, but I know whatever this planet's secret is, I'll be able to harness it and make it my own power.
Yardrat is special, but its secrets aren't for some nobody to take. Even if I'm a low-class Saiyan, I'll show you that to me, being a Yardrat means a lot more than that. The battle continued for a little while longer, but from the sidelines, Soba crossed his arms. It was clear to him that Goku was being sloppy. He should be able to beat Vegeta, but no doubt the revelations of his brother and the Saiyan people had him in a complex mental state. Couldn't focus. He needed to do something. But as Soba was about to tell Goku this telepathically, Vegeta did the unthinkable. He yells at Nappa and Raditz to prepare as he launches an artificial moon. Vegeta says that he doesn't mind bringing the whole planet down if it means defeating Kakarot. Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz begin to twist and shake as their bodies morph into a hulking beast. So did Goku. Vegeta had this planned. He would help them destroy their planet too. Neither Raditz nor Goku could control the Ozaru power, but that didn't matter. Soba couldn't believe what he saw. The destruction in their path. If he didn't act quickly, then surely this planet would be destroyed. From far away, Pibara wonders what he's about to do as Hatsuka tries to reason with Goku, but Ozaru Raditz punches down, forcing him away. Ozaru Vegeta simply stands back and laughs as the other ones do the dirty work for him. The forest is on fire. The city's being destroyed. Yaki finally yelled at Soba to do something. Master Soba snapped out of it, appearing in front of Goku and Raditz, charging up his ki as he dodges and weaves between their punches, forcing them to punch each other in the face at one point. That was the chance Soba needed, as he puts his arms in front of him, about to release a powerful ki blast. But Hatsuka yells a solemn no. He can't kill Goku, as the blast is fired and the blinding light consumes the two Ozaru brothers. Pibara senses the Ozaru disappear as Hatsuka cries out. Even Vegeta Ozaru laughs. What an idiot. Hatsuka and Yaki ran over to Soba, asking him what he'd done. All he needed to do was destroy their tail. He didn't need to kill them. Soba shoves them away, telling them that he's not an idiot. Shira isn't dead. Hatsuka turned to look at the rubble. Goku and Raditz had landed on top of each other, but Goku wasn't dead. His tail was vaporized, however, as he had shrunk into a regular size. As Soba holds off Vegeta and Nappa by dodging their attacks, Hatsuka and Yaki wake up Goku, who looks up to see the terrible monsters. They were the same monsters from his dreams and his meditation on Namek. He had to fight them. That darkness within him. Before he could get back up, Hatsuka did what he could to heal Goku, but there was no time to get him back to full health. The other Ozaru were coming in fast. Goku thanked Hatsuka. He was only at 41%, but he'd have to work with that. Soba says that it is time to end things, lifting his arm up to the sky while energy is poured into a single ball of ki, but the process is interrupted by a different ki ball hitting the ground in front of him. The master turns to look at who shot it. It was Goku himself. No help. My own raw strength. This is my battle. Soba knew that there was no arguing with Goku, stepping away as Vegeta and Nappa laughed. The battle began, and Goku could not keep up with the two monsters. Hatsuka and Yaki begged Soba to step in and do something, but Soba knows Goku has to do this alone, but telepathically does give him a hand.
If you must fight them alone, then remember what I've taught you. Remember what your home is.
Goku took a deep sigh as both Ozaru rushed at him, shaking the ground. This whole time, I've fought as a Saiyan. Now more than ever, to defend my home, I have to fight as a Yardrat too. I have to remember that. While both Ozaru jumped in at him, Goku turned with a scowl, growing in size and catching both fists at the same time. Vegeta was completely shocked. He didn't realize the Yardrats had this kind of technique, as Goku pushed them both back. It took him a while to learn, but his giant form was finally paying off. Despite Nappa and Vegeta being allies, they made for a pretty bad team. Goku decided to focus on Nappa first, as he avoided Vegeta as much as he could. The massive Saiyan warrior's raw power was overwhelming, but every punch he threw seemed to shake the very foundation of the planet. Goku had to tap into all his strength and experience to keep up with these colossal adversaries. Despite Goku's speed and versatility, Nappa's sheer size and strength made it difficult for him to land any significant blows. Each time Goku attempted to get close, Nappa's massive fist would come crashing crashing down, forcing Goku to dodge and evade. His defenses seemed impenetrable. Goku's mind raced as he searched for a way to gain the upper hand. He knew he couldn't match Nappa's power and brute force, so he focused on instead outmaneuvering him. The ground trembled as Goku evaded another devastating punch. He needed to act quickly, gathering energy and deciding to surprise Nappa. He rushed in at him in his giant form, but right before reaching him, he shrunk again, avoiding a strike from his palm right between his fingers, putting his full force into a single punch square on the Ozaru's forehead, sending him into Vegeta completely knocked out. Vegeta kicked Nappa out of the way. The dust settled as Nappa landed, and Goku stood tall, panting from the exertion, but the battle was far from over. Vegeta remained. Goku turned his attention to the prince, who now wore a menacing grin on that Ozaru mug. With a deep breath and renewed determination, Goku braced himself for the next epic showdown. Goku then rushed in at Vegeta, but Vegeta wasn't about to let the same thing happen to him. Goku smirks as suddenly a dozen Gokus appear in front of him and on Vegeta, completely obstructing his view as he tries to rip the various Gokus off his face. Goku teleports behind Vegeta, coming in, spinning and smashing his face against the ground.
How is he doing that? I've never seen anyone use moves in that way.
That kid, he's amazing. He has the powers of our Yardrat, but he thinks like a Saiyan. It's the ultimate combination.
Goku's Yardrat training allows him to predict Vegeta's moves and avoid them effectively, but every time Vegeta did land a hit, it knocked years out of Goku's life. With the Yardrat's speed and the Saiyan's ferocity, Goku gains the upper hand. He evades Vegeta's powerful attacks and lands his own devastating blows. The two warriors seemed evenly matched, but Goku's relentless determination and the experience he gained during his training shined through. Master Soba, Hatsuka, and Yaki watched in amazement as Goku demonstrates the combinations of the 2 years of training, but Vegeta knew this battle was not going his way. The prince had to get under Kakarot's skin to truly hurt him. The monster sprung to a mountainside, picking up part of it. Without a second thought, Vegeta launched it and chucked it at a nearby village, where the Yardrats were watching and sensing the battle. Goku grows in size to catch the spinning boulder, but hears Vegeta's voice far too late to move out of the way of the next attack.
I have lost and I have won, Kakarot. But when I lose, the other person loses an eye.
Goku can't avoid it, as Ozaru Vegeta jumps in behind the rock, firing a mouth beam that not only destroys the rock, but slices across Goku's face, blood splattering over the field as he loses sight from that eye. The sky crackles with energy, and the very ground trembles beneath them. Vegeta is now confident that he can easily defeat the Saiyan warrior with a single attack. Goku, however, knows that he must go all out to defeat this formidable foe, right here, right now. He takes a deep breath, remembering his masters, Pibara, the Grand Elder Guru, Soba, even Yaki, Hatsuka, and Nail. They had all taught him so much. It was time to pay them back. He channels all of his energy into his palm, forming a massive shimmering blue key ball that crackles with power. Goku, cheeky as always, names it the Ozaru Breaker, determined to end this battle once and for all. Goku pushes himself forward, shrinking down like he did against Nappa before, but Vegeta once again said that wasn't going to work. Even so, to his surprise, although Goku has shrunken down, the key ball was still huge. Vegeta smirks arrogantly, thinking that one key ball wouldn't be enough to stop him. He opens his massive mouth and charges a powerful mouth beam, intending to obliterate Goku with that blast. But just as Vegeta prepares to launch it, something unexpected happens. Goku's body shimmers and splits into dozens of clones, each one charging an Ozaru Breaker of their own. Vegeta's eyes widen in shock as he finds himself staring at what seems like hundreds of key balls coming his way. The chorus of voices echo in Vegeta's mind as the Goku clones shout in unison, "Ozaru Breaker!" Vegeta fires the mouth beam as the attacks clash in an explosion of light and energy. Vegeta struggles to hold his ground, but the sheer force of Goku's key ball and his massive amounts of clones overwhelm him. Despite the odds, Goku and his clones push forward with unwavering determination. With that final surge of power, Goku's main body leaps forward and slams the Ozaru Breaker against Vegeta's chest. The impact is immense, and the blinding explosion engulfs the battlefield. As the smoke clears, Vegeta's Ozaru form begins to shrink, reverting back to his regular state, his tail vaporized. Defeated, the Yardrat tribe cheers in jubilation as Goku stands tall, panting but victorious. The Ozaru Breaker has proven to be more than just a powerful attack, a symbol of Goku's growth and determination to protect his home and friends. Nappa could barely stand to yell Vegeta's name. The prince held onto his arm, yelling back at Nappa to get him to his ship. Raditz couldn't stand anymore. He was left on the ground. Master Soba approaches Goku, contemplating the fate of the defeated Saiyan. Saiyans. He asks Goku if they should be kept alive, given their previous intent to destroy the planet. Goku noticed a surprised reaction from those watching. What did Pibara think when he heard Soba suggest that? For Pibara, it was the first time he had ever heard Soba suggest such a thing. Was Shira having an impact on him too? The master he knew would have simply killed him and ostracized himself from Yardrat society once more. Goku pauses for a moment, looking at the fallen Saiyans with a mix of empathy and determination. These Saiyans are my responsibility now. I won't let them continue down the path of destruction. Let them live. I'll offer them a chance to change, to find a new purpose. They'll pay their dues to the planet. They'll rebuild. I still have so much to ask them. Vegeta was insulted by this, mustering his energy to stand and walk to his ship. But Soba appeared and grabbed onto Vegeta's arm before he could enter the pod. Goku shook his head, telling him to let them go. If they wanted to leave, then let them leave. He would find them.
Be glad that Shira spared your life. If it were up to me, you'd become part of the same soil you sought to destroy.
This isn't the last time I'll see you, Kakarot, and next time, things will be different.
Wait, you're leaving Raditz?
Tch, like I said, I've no purpose for a Saiyan who can't move. He's your brother, your burden.
You're despicable, but I've got one more question for you. You mentioned a name, Frieza. You work for him, don't you? Well, tell him his reign is over, because I'm going to end it. I'll find him, wherever he is in the galaxy.
Tell him yourself then.
The pod door closes, and both Vegeta and Nappa shoot up into space.
I hope you've made the right choice. You may have just made a powerful enemy.
Goku didn't answer, instead turning to his brother. And as for you, Raditz, I'll take care of you until you can move again. Once you're well though, I expect you to leave this planet and never come back. Raditz was taken aback by Goku's unexpected mercy as he just nods. He didn't expect his long-lost brother to both defeat him and save him in one day. The Yardrats celebrated as Raditz heals in an isolated hut. Goku thanks everyone for believing in him, but he explains that he must leave now.
But why?
I have a feeling I just put a target on my back, but they want just me. If I'm not here, then all of you are gonna be safe, especially with Master Soba. I'm going out there, into the galaxy. There's so many planets out there that have fallen to that Frieza guy, just like ours could have, and they need help. I'll be back, I promise. I could never stay too far away from this place anyways. My home, alongside Planet Namek, taught me how lucky I am to be in a universe so full of life. Animals, plants, people, even things such as water, air, the many stars, and even the moon. We are all part of something greater than ourselves, something worth protecting, and I'm going to make sure that it is protected. Goku's plan to leave Yardrat and liberate planets was set into motion, and he was ready to take the next step of his training. Under Pibara and Soba's wise instructions, he had built a small house for himself up in the mountains near the cave where he trained with his master. The place was surrounded by tall pine trees and the snow-capped peaks of the mountain range that encircled it. The sun had just risen, and the sky was filled with an intense orange glow. Goku had woken up shortly after, and he was already outside, performing a series of unusual stretches. Once he had learned from Pibara and Soba, and that were even strange to the Yardrans. Those exercises were preparing his body and spirit for the hardest a Yardran move, the forced spirit fission. Raditz was standing at the entrance of the house, observing the scene. He had been under Goku's supervision ever since he tried to take over Yardrat, and he had to leave as soon as he was fully healed. The Yardrats were cautious about healing him immediately, plus Goku thought he could change him for the better. He wanted to learn more about where he came from, and the Saiyans. Maybe even change Raditz's path along the way. Soba saw their relationship, but warned Goku that one day, perhaps, he would fail to save someone. There are some out there who cannot be forgiven. This downtime gave Raditz time to be alone with himself, realizing that this planet was full of strange creatures, including hundreds of interesting bugs. He'd never admitted to anyone, but he'd liked bugs since he was a little kid. Pibara and Soba had been guiding Goku through every step of the process, but the spirit fission technique was far too powerful for him. If done incorrectly, it would not only leave him open to attacks, but take a huge toll in his own power. The forced spirit fission was best used against enemies whose power did not belong to them properly. With it, you could potentially undo fusions and absorptions. Pibara wanted him to stay longer until he mastered it, but Goku's yearning for adventure told him otherwise. He'd figure it out through his own ventures. Raditz knew that he had to leave soon, but at that moment he felt like he wanted to stay. As Goku completed the unusual stretching exercises, he had seen him practice many times before, and each time he felt a strange admiration for him. He had, after all, defeated 3 Ozaru. He hated to admit it, but his little brother was impressive. Pibara and Soba stood close by, ready to guide Goku through every step. Raditz felt something stir inside of him. He realized that here on Yardrat, he didn't have to answer to anyone else. No Tyrant Frieza or any other powerful figure from his past life. Sure, he was being watched over, but nobody told him what to do. Suddenly, an idea struck him. If only he had one move from this planet, one move that would allow him to escape his old life and make his own home. The instant transmission. If he could only learn that technique, then he would be able to leave the palace and the Frieza Force behind entirely. That night, reluctantly, he explained to Goku just that. He wanted to learn the instant transmission. Goku, known as Shira in this universe, wasn't sure at first, but he could sense within Raditz a genuine yearning for more. Not anger, not conquering, but a wanting to be his own man. Goku agreed, under the condition that they could talk more about the Saiyans. The following months, Goku would teach it in secret to Raditz, but he was never really good at it. It seems at times he'd get it, but it never quite hit the mark. Goku and Raditz stood facing each other in the courtyard, ready to start a new sparring session. Raditz was tense and nervous. He had never fought someone like Goku before, and wasn't sure how to proceed. Sensing this, Goku started with basic kicks and punches. He could tell that Raditz wanted to learn, wanted to get to his level, but he needed guidance. As they both moved in perfect harmony, Goku began to teach him the basics of Soba-style combat. Raditz became more and more open to talking to Goku and learning from him. He was still far from mastering the technique, but he was making progress. Raditz had a huge issue with Ki in particular, sensing it, being one with it, etc. He had seen Goku meditate and tried to do the same, but what he saw during those meditations often scared him. Frieza, Vegeta, and more. He was often under someone else. During breaks in their sessions, Goku would tell him stories about his adventures, such as encounters with powerful warriors like Soba and Nail. Raditz found himself awkwardly fascinated by these stories, wanting to learn more about such powerful fighters and how they could operate in such a dangerous universe. He never thought about the people he conquered, about the champions of each planet. To them, they were just simple creatures they would step over in the name of Frieza. Could Kakarot really do it? Could he rid the universe of the Emperor? Part of him wanted to believe it, but it was too fantastical of a thought. Eventually, it became clear that Goku had to leave on his mission. Raditz felt a deep longing for an adventure with him. It was something he hadn't felt since he was very young. So much so that he had almost forgotten about learning the instant transmission technique. Goku asked if he wanted to come along, hoping that the change he had stirred up within him was real. But an intense fear washed over the long-haired Saiyan. He could picture Frieza's piercing eyes and the thunderous sound of the death beam. No. He will leave on his own path, but for now, he couldn't go anywhere else. Goku was disappointed, but he felt that within Raditz there was more than he showed. To the older Saiyan's surprise, Goku shook his hand. He knew they'd meet again. Goku departed on his mission, leaving Raditz torn between his desire for adventure and his fear of the unknown. He watched Goku fly into space, feeling inspired, though knowing that he couldn't join him on this endeavor. Raditz lingered in place, contemplating. Despite his reservations, there was something inside him that made him feel like he wanted to go, a deep longing for freedom that had been dormant until arriving on Yardrat. Then he felt a hand on his shoulder, Soba, as if to tell him it was time to leave. Raditz turned to look at Soba and Yaki. He wasn't sure what to say and just nodded. It seemed like there was a mutual understanding that he would not return to harm them. It seemed like they knew something had changed. He boarded his pod and set off towards planet Frieza, uncertain of what awaited him there, but determined to find out. Meanwhile, Goku traveled across space, liberating planets from Frieza's control. Everywhere he went, people rejoiced at their newfound freedom and thanked him for shedding light on what had been a dark era of oppression under the tyrant's rule. He also encountered many powerful warriors, some of which became allies, while others became foes, all teaching him valuable lessons along the way. Eventually reaching planet Namek again, this time much stronger than when he had left it before. Guru greeted him warmly and offered a warning. Dark forces may be on their way that could threaten not only Namek itself, but all of existence if they are not stopped soon enough. I have that feeling too, but don't worry, I'm gonna take care of it, I promise. And Snail, I'll return soon to fight. There's just some things I have to take care of first. How are the crops growing, by the way?
Come back and check up on them yourself. They'll be waiting, even though we don't need to eat, as Namekians make a mean feast. We'll see you soon, my friend.
Goku waved his old friends goodbye as he continued on his quest. A particular planet he ended up on wasn't under Frieza's control. It was a dark planet named Zune. Some people there were nice, but there was a champion who was a complete jerk named Pui Pui. Goku and him faced off, as Goku wanted to set in stone that there were other paths beyond death and destruction, and honor in fighting, something Pui Pui didn't have. This is a Pui Pui prior to the Majin power-up, so Goku manages to defeat him through his multiplication technique. As Pui Pui laid on the floor defeated, he spat on the ground, telling Goku that he had earned this kill. However, Goku didn't want to kill Pui Pui. Like I said, all life in the universe is important. You may be a jerk, but I don't want to kill you. You were fun to fight. It would be such a waste. I want to do it again. Pui Pui looks at Goku's hands stretched out. This really was a peculiar warrior, a warrior he'd like to face again in the future. Goku spent time there longer than expected, but just like with Raditz before him, he did see a change forging within Pui Pui. Unaware of the concept of foreign species being introduced to a new area, Goku took a seed given to him by the Namekians and planted it on planet Zune. The planet was too desolated, and he thought it looked nice. He bid farewell to Pui Pui, as Pui Pui promised to take care of the tree. He went through several planets, each one with stronger foes than before, but none of them served as a huge threat. On one such planet, a set of enemies approached Goku as he saved them from an evil scientist who had been experimenting on them at Frieza's command. Led by a soldier named Kui, they surrounded the hero as he mocked Goku for being a weakling Saiyan like Vegeta. Goku was actually excited to hear that name, asking Kui how Vegeta was doing nowadays. Kui didn't appreciate it, not that it mattered, as he and his men were quickly disposed of by Goku. He ensured that Kui and his goons were kicked out of the planet to never return. And tell your overlord one thing, his reign is over. I'm coming for him. Kui was terrified as he ordered his handful of troops to speed off towards the stars. There was even a planet inhabited by a bunch of small white beings with big heads, planet Tek Tek. There he found many unexpected sights. For one, he found a Saiyan named Tarball. Tarball was extremely apprehensive about him being there, but soon came to realize that he was just a guy looking to save a planet, not another Frieza lackey. There were two rotund aliens in that world whom Goku battled, until they finally fused into a single powerful being. He was a huge issue. According to Tarball, he was as strong as Frieza, only knowing his first form. Goku ended up quite beat up during this, trying to use Force Spirit Fission to unfuse the two, but didn't work quite well. This forced Tarball to step in and do what he could to defend him as the locals healed Goku. Goku admired Tarball's bravery. He was severely underpowered, but even so, he protected his people and his new friend. Unknown to Goku, Tarball himself was inspired by Goku's bravery. A Saiyan standing up to the Frieza Force? Unheard of. This was just one of the many times Goku inspired hope in the galaxy. Once healed, Goku appeared before the beaten up Tarball, while Akka cackled. Did he really think he could win? Sure enough, Goku defeated Akka. Goku promised him that if they return, he'd be back to help. By the way, I didn't think more Saiyans were around. You kinda look like that Vegeta guy, but a lot nicer. See you around. Before Tarball could reveal just who he was, Goku was gone. Meanwhile, on planet Frieza, Raditz had reintegrated into the Frieza Force. Surprisingly, he was welcomed with open arms. He expected to get a beating after losing, but according to Nappa and Vegeta, Frieza had something else in mind. The tales they showed the Emperor only confirmed something he already had planned. Yardrat was filled with incredible beings. The secrets the planet held were valuable. If a single low-class Saiyan could rise above the prince, then surely there was more for him to learn from that world. Teleportation, multiplication, size manipulation? If his army had that power, then not only would the universe be his, but perhaps every universe. What could a god of destruction do to that? It was being wasted in those Yardrat fools. Raditz realized that no one else had been sent on a mission in a while. Some of the overlords from different planets had returned to the base. Could it be?
And then that kid attacked me out of nowhere. No morning coffee or nothing. He even turned giant at one point and crushed half my pots.
Wait, what kid?
What's it matter to you? I didn't stop to ask for his name. But he's the same punk who's been going around taking out our men. He could even teleport.
So, he's been taking us off of planets?
Yeah, at least 70 of our planets have been driven into chaos because he removed the general management. I doubt it'll last. Frieza already has plans to get back at him.
Kakarot, you really are doing this? What was that? Are you going to finish your carrots?
Raditz felt a cold sweat down his spine. What was Frieza's plan? How would he defeat Kakarot? Where would he even find him? If only he could warn Kakarot.
Get ready, ladies. We're going back.
Back?
To planet Yardrat. All of us. The entire Frieza force. Heh payback time.
He should have told Kakarot that he was wrong. Of course, Frieza wouldn't stand still as planets were being taken down. Now, all those people were going to die. Raditz caught himself thinking this. He didn't really care about the Yardrans. Why was he even thinking about that? To him, it was just another job. The Frieza Force was organized on a single goal. For the first time in many years, whatever planets were still under their control remained occupied, guarded by said soldiers. But every other capable body was sent to Yardrat. As Raditz's pod sped behind the mothership, besides Nappa and Vegeta, he couldn't help but wonder what had become of Kakarot. He turned to look outside, seeing a neighboring planet to planet Frieza, Planet Meat. Long ago, that planet had been taken over by a set of Saiyans and the population enslaved. That was the fate that awaited Yardrat. Now, he would never learn instant transmission. He would never escape this life. He would never see the tall pine trees, the snow-capped mountains, and the tranquil bugs anymore. He would never see Kakarot again. As if he had just woken up from a nightmare, Raditz sat up, his eyes wide. In an instant, he pressed a few commands, his pod drifting towards Planet Meat. This was his final straw. Nappa and Vegeta noticed this, with Vegeta telling Nappa to ignore that loser, until he realized something else. Raditz was being followed. A small ship, birthed from the mothership, sped behind Raditz's to Planet Meat. In reality, Frieza had been keeping a close eye on the Saiyans. He suspected them ever since losing to another low-class Saiyan. Vegeta, though he didn't care about Raditz, did care about what this could mean to him. He commanded Nappa to follow. Thus, the three Saiyans and a mysterious Frieza ship landed on Planet Meat. Raditz sat by his pod, focusing as hard as he could. He had to try to find Kakarot. Ki was something he was struggling to understand, but he had to find him. The life essence Kakarot taught him. But his concentration was broken, a little fart slipping out as he heard a loud boom from the ship landing. Raditz quickly turned to find Zarbon and Dodoria, even a handful of soldiers staring him down.
So, a traitor's death is what you wished for, Raditz?
How did you? I had to make a pit stop.
At that moment, two more pods landed, Nappa and Vegeta.
Raditz, you idiot. What's your angle?
Damn it, Vegeta. Aren't you getting tired of this? Tired of the senseless conquering for someone else who'd kill us in an instant? The only reason we're alive after failing on Yardrat is because he thinks we may have valuable information.
An astute observation. Lord Frieza suspects the Saiyan's loyalty was wavering after losing on Yardrat. Tell us now, where's the boy?
I don't know.
If Raditz landed here, then he mustn't be far, right? We'll blow up the entire planet if needed.
Heh. Not the first set of Saiyans I've killed on this planet, you know. That low-level crew, Bardock's, the whole squad died here.
What?
You little... Of course, that was right before Frieza destroyed the rest of them with a single finger. Too bad he missed a few.
Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz looked at one another. If they had heard this alone, then perhaps they wouldn't have cared. But they felt anger now. They never liked each other, especially Raditz and the other two, but they were still Saiyans, and the pride of their race had just been challenged. Now that they knew who destroyed their world, they had no excuse not to turn against the army. Even if they died, they would die fighting. Vegeta's aura burst open, rushing towards Zarbon, followed by Nappa and Raditz. The battle was intense, as Zarbon and Dodoria are completely caught off guard by how powerful the Saiyans are. Their battles on Yardrats not only meant a huge Zenkai boost, but for Vegeta and Raditz, the ability to sense ki. Vegeta got Zarbon in a full Nelson just for a second, as he yelled out at Nappa to destroy his scouter. Nappa was surprised. That could have been a chance to do some damage, not recognizing how valuable their advantage was. Likewise, Dodoria's scouter was exploded by Raditz. The Saiyans gained ground slowly, with a double Sunday from Raditz killing Dodoria. He looked at his hands in shock. He didn't realize he'd grown so much. Meanwhile, on planet Yardrat, we see that the Yardrans had tried to talk Frieza back, but nothing would work. He lost his patience and allowed the Ginyu Force and his army to attack. Pibara did what he could to protect his family. Despite his clones being out there, he just couldn't keep them up. They were a peaceful race, not prepared for an invasion like this. Suddenly, as it seemed Pibara would die because of Goldo's time stop and an incoming Recoome, a flash of light cut through Goldo's neck. Pibara turns back to look at the newly arrived Soba and Yaki, but he wasn't alone. He had an army of Yardrans from all over the planet.
How did you get them here?
Me. They were all inspired by Shira's bravery. If a Saiyan can defend our world, then so can we.
The army begins their battle against the Frieza Force, with Soba, Yaki, Hatsuka, and Pibara focusing on the Ginyu Force. The battle was intense, with both sides losing a massive amount of members. Frieza, despite not wanting to be involved, began taking down fighters here and there with death beams. Pibara was hit by one of them and sent into a house. Though not killed, it severely weakened him. Soba turned back. Clearly, he would have to take him out first. Soba burst through Recoome, defeating him in a clean shot and landed a punch on Frieza's face. Frieza was incredibly surprised. That punch was strong enough to kill some of his best men. Perhaps he underestimated Yardrat. As Soba yelled at Frieza to get back up, the Emperor clicked on his scouter and couldn't believe as the numbers grew, and the scouter exploded. Was this a mistake? Soba yelled out, giving Frieza one last time to disappear from this world and never return. But a death beam shot right towards Soba. He slapped it away, but it severely damaged his arm. He turned his head to see the Emperor of the Universe rise up from the rubble in a new form. He wasn't going to waste any more time. Frieza could tell the two of them could compete in power. He had to use his final form. The battleground crackled with energy as the two formidable forces stood facing each other. On one side, the tyrannical and imposing final form Frieza emanated an aura of malevolent power, his sleek and icy demeanor reflecting the ruthless conqueror he was. On the other side, the enigmatic Yardrat, Master Soba, exuded an aura of tranquil power, yet overwhelming strength, his kaleidoscope aura shifting with each movement. As a side note, in Dragon Ball Sagas, Soba is said to be even stronger than Frieza. In this story, I'm making them a little bit more equal, but Soba is still above him. Frieza's cold voice cut through the charged air.
You dare challenge me, Yardrat? Your kind is nothing more than a fleeting curiosity in the grand scheme of the universe. But this planet's secrets shall be mine.
In a sudden burst of speed, Frieza lunged forward, his fist wreathed with pulsating energy. Soba gracefully sidestepped, his form blurring as he dodged the attack effortlessly. In response, Soba extended his hand, his 6 fingers extending out like tendrils, wrapping around Frieza's limbs like ethereal restraints. Frieza's eyes narrowed, his lips curling into a snarl. With an explosion of energy, he shattered Soba's restraints, sending shockwaves rippling through the ground. Frieza retaliated with a barrage of energy blast that streaked towards Soba like deadly comets. Soba's body glowed with an iridescent light as he raised his arm up, intercepting the energy blast and dispersing them harmlessly into the atmosphere. Frieza's veins pulsed with power as he roared in frustration. He charged once more, unleashing a flurry of devastating strikes. Soba met each blow with a calm and calculated defense, his body flowing like water, absorbing the impact, putting up a facade that none of this hurt him. Their eyes met in a fiery gaze. In an electrifying instant, both Frieza and Soba propelled themselves backwards, creating a chasm between them.
But you'll see my army has some tricks up its sleeve.
Frieza quickly glanced to the side. This did not worry Soba. He just had to end him quickly. With those words hanging in the air, both warriors surged forward. Once again, their bodies cloaked in energy as they launched their final attack. The clash was cataclysmic, a blinding explosion of power that enveloped the battlefield. The shockwave echoed across the world, leaving the outcome uncertain as we move back to Planet Meat. The Battle of the Saiyans continued. Zarbon, seeing the 3 Saiyans he was facing, transformed and aimed to kill Raditz right away. The monster slashed and slammed Raditz, with Vegeta and Nappa actually trying to get the monster off of him, but Zarbon grabbed them by the face and slammed them against each other, rushing down Raditz again, pinning him against his own pod. He was going to crush his neck right then and there. Raditz was blanking out. He was going to die if he didn't do something. He thought of his parents, of Vegeta, Nappa, Frieza, and Kakarot. With the last of his power, he closed his eyes and focused, placing 2 fingers on his forehead. Zarbon laughed, crushing his neck even more until Raditz's eyes shot open, a bright light in his mind, showing the warmth in a familiar key signature, Kakarot's. Just as Zarbon was going to kill him, Raditz disappeared. The confused Zarbon turned to see Nappa and Vegeta, palms full of ki, blasting him into smithereens. They too were confused about where Raditz ended up. They were honestly okay with killing him in that attack as well, but so be it. They weren't too hurt. They defeated them both with relative ease. Even so, they needed to patch themselves up before figuring out what to do. Raditz's eyes widened as he appeared right above a dumpster, crashing down on a bunch of trash. Surprised, a man came running out and pulled him out with one arm. To Raditz's relief, it was Kakarot.
Kakarot, there's no time to explain. Frieza's
Raditz, good to see you. Did you teleport here? So you've been practicing, huh? But why are you all hurt?
Kakarot, listen to me. It's Frieza. He knows what you've been doing. He's gone to attack planet Yardrat while you're not there. If you don't get there fast, you'll... Damn it.
Huh. Okay, so you guys were keeping me distracted, huh? That's why you attacked me while I was eating? Goku turned to face the set of Frieza Force soldiers he'd been fighting, led by Sorbet. Shizami gulped. Goku takes steps towards him, placing his fist firmly against his chest and quickly slamming it forward, causing a huge wave that knocks down every single soldier. He warned them to never return to that planet, but Goku's attitude couldn't entirely hide the worry he felt. He quickly turned to Raditz, telling him to hold on to him. They're going to planet Yardrat. Raditz couldn't even complain as he was grabbed, and they were teleported away. The sight was hard for Goku to swallow. Buildings burning, Yardrat's dead, Pibara was being beaten down as more and more of his clones were defeated. Yaki bit the leg of Birder just to get kicked away. Hatsuka tried healing some of the defeated Yardrans. Even some Cybermen from the forest were running in and sacrificing themselves to attack Frieza, but it seemed impossible. Goku balled up his fists tightly, a surge of rage boiling within him. He could feel all these lives being snuffed out, and it hurt him to his core. He swore to make Frieza pay for this. Raditz shook in fear at just sensing the Emperor's power. The only one standing up to Frieza was Goku's old master, Soba. This was a relief to Goku. Together, they could surely stop this monster. Shira quickly landed down by Soba, staring down at Frieza. Sorry for being late, master. Let's take him down, together. But Raditz noticed something close to the pair. A body barely moving, trying to crawl towards them. That familiar purple alien, Captain Ginyu.
Kakarot, wait!
Soba spun on his heel, striking Goku in the stomach and sending him flying into a house. The kick was unexpected as he tried to stand back up. Some blood dripped from his mouth. Soba posed in a ridiculous manner.
Haha! This body's incredible! Lord Frieza, to have this power at your service. Surely nothing will stand in your way.
Very good, Captain Ginyu. Thank you for removing that pesky insect from the battlefield.
Master, what's the meaning of this? I've come to help. I'm sorry they've come here because of me.
Because of you? Don't be so full of yourself. A few freed planets means nothing compared to the power this planet holds. And once I'm done here, those planets you saved will fall right back to me.
What? What is he talking about, Master Soba? Without a word, Soba turned and pointed his hand out to Goku. The only time Soba had ever used the ki attack was to stop Goku from using his own. This wasn't Soba, was it? At least the one question in Goku's mind was answered. Why didn't Soba ever use ki attacks? Goku was left speechless as the blast coming from Soba's hand completely deafened the battlefield, as if it was a vacuum, swallowing all sound, only for the most terrifying force in the world to be sent out. The blast destroyed buildings and sent every single fighter into different directions. Master Soba was hiding that kind of power? Pibara hurried to Goku's side. As he healed him some, his bones were already broken. Pibara tells Goku that they have to escape if they hope to survive. But Goku was completely unwilling to abandon the planet. Everything I've been doing, it hasn't been just to save the natives of each planet, but to save the planets themselves. The animals, the plants, they need our help. We can't just abandon the world. Raditz landed by Goku, extremely hurt still, as he explained that Soba was now in Ginyu's body. Unless they force him to body change again, then they don't stand a chance. Goku stood up, slightly less healed than he would have liked. He would not only save Yardrat, but Soba as well. Ginyu in Soba's body places a scouter on his face as Jais and Burger land by his side. Goku gulps, knowing that this is his ultimate test, fighting his master. Even if it wasn't really him, this would be fun. Goku burst his aura open as he yelled at Raditz and Hatsuka to take everyone to a different planet, but leave Soba. Raditz wanted to help his brother, but there was little he could do without reinforcements. Raditz grabbed onto some of the downed Yardrats, about to leave a downed Cyberman, but Goku turned to him. Everyone. If you insist. Raditz grabbed onto the Cyberman as well, and told Hatsuka to follow him. After Hatsuka, more and more Yardrats followed suit, with one remaining, Pibara, who stood tall by Goku's side. Frieza and the soldiers attempted to fire blasts at them as they left, but not a single hit as Goku slapped the blast away. First things first, he'd take care of Ginyu. Goku rushed in with all his might, attempting to keep him from using his ki blast, but be it as it might, the rest of the Ginyu force would attack. Frieza laughed. If only he would accept to become part of the Ginyu force, he would make a perfect little soldier. Raditz arrived back at Planet Meat alongside hundreds of Yardrats, Cybermen, animals, and more. Vegeta and Nappa weren't ready for that, as they were patching themselves up after fighting Zarbon and Dodoria. Just what the hell was Raditz doing? Hatsuka was immediately on the defensive alongside Yaki. Did Raditz betray them? Raditz got in the middle of the two groups, telling them to calm down. He had an idea.
Vegeta, listen to me. Kakarot is in the midst of fighting Captain Ginyu, but I don't think he can do this alone.
Why would we help your brother?
You're not listening to me. He's fighting Captain Ginyu. If he's fighting, then Frieza's forces are quickly depleting. I think we can do this.
Defeat Frieza? You're insane. He was struggling against us three.
If we've gotten stronger, don't you think he has as well? Come with me. This could be our last chance to avenge the Saiyans.
As if I'd care about such things. If Kakarot dies, then he dies.
What do you think Frieza's going to do to us after he kills them? It will mean the true end to all of us. He will kill the Saiyan race.
Do you really think he stands a chance?
My brother is our only chance.
Vegeta took a second, but finally nodded at Raditz. He could feel his power growing. If they defeated Zarbon and Dodoria with relative ease, maybe they could do this. But first, Vegeta had an idea. He told Raditz to blast the both of them in the chest. Raditz was apprehensive. He didn't want to do that, but he began to understand what was going on. He would go through the same thing as well, with Raditz quickly blasting Vegeta and Nappa. Thus, the Saiyans get a boost and get ready to return. Hatsuka insisted on coming along alongside Yaki. He wasn't about to leave the Saiyans to be the only people defending his planet. The team teleported to Yardrat. Upon arriving, the group witnesses Goku in the heat of a battle against Ginyu, Jais, and Burger. Raditz was right. Goku couldn't keep up with so many fighters on him, especially one as strong as Soba. Ginyu may not have all his powers, but his basic strength was still incredible. This was the man who nearly rivaled Frieza. Frieza was taking random shots at Goku too, laughing as he did. This was just torture, but the fire in Goku's eyes never wavered. Pibara, likewise, never left his son's side. He sent out clones to protect him, each one being defeated. He wasn't sure how long he could keep going. His giant form swiped across, taking out multiple Frieza soldiers so Goku could just focus. But it was clear that Frieza had his eyes on taking him down. Even so, Pibara believed in Shira. He would bring back Soba. But as one more punch sent Goku into a house, the newly arrived fighters stepped in front of him.
Don't get any ideas, Kakarot. We're here to kill Frieza, not help you.
Heal him while we fight, Hatsuka. Like we'll need him.
The Saiyans rushed in at the Ginyu Force, continuing to battle. The battlefield was a chaotic symphony of clashes, energy beams, and swirling dust. The Saiyans were at a distinct disadvantage. Nappa, fueled by his brute strength and unyielding confidence, charged at Jais with a thunderous roar. But Jais's evasive maneuvers and his Crusher Ball allowed him to effortlessly attack Nappa and keep him at a distance. Burger, the fastest being in the universe, was an enigma as he could dance around Vegeta. The Saiyan Prince struggled to anticipate Burger's moves, finding himself constantly a step behind. Burger's strikes were like fleeting shadows, leaving Vegeta struggling to even land a hit. Their ki sensing helped immensely, but it couldn't make up for the gap between them. Raditz was locked in combat with Ginyu. Every energy blast was deflected or absorbed, every punch countered with uncanny precision. Raditz was on the defensive the entire time, barely managing to hold his own. Nappa growled in frustration as Jais' taunts echoed in his ear. "What's the matter, big guy? Can't catch me?" Vegeta's expressions twisted into a scowl as he locked eyes with Bardock, who smirked and continued to elude every attack.
Hold still, you coward!
Goku tried to tell them not to let Ginyu use his ki attacks, but there was little they could do. As Goku tried to get himself together, he turned to look at the body on the ground, Ginyu's. Hatsuka told him to stop moving as he healed him, but Goku didn't listen, hurrying to him, holding his hand and trying to do what he could.
Don't bother with me, Shira. Focus on defeating him, even if it means my death.
No, Master Soba. I'll bring you back, I promise.
That ki attack. Now you see why I locked myself away from Yardrat society. Long ago, I nearly destroyed our planet in a battle against someone who was said to be the guardian of Yardrat. My master. It is the reason I don't use ki anymore. But you have something nearly no one else does. Even on this planet, you have a connection to ki like no one else. Close your eyes. If you're set on defeating Frieza, then be one with it. Sense it. What do you see?
Goku closed his eyes, the sound of battle slowly fading as he heard birds, water, the Cyberman running in the forest, even Frieza's heartbeat. He then feels the destruction around him, a death beam piercing through Nappa, a tree crashing down, the burning fields, the dying Yardrats. In between all of it, there's energy, ki, the building block of life, something Soba moved away from a long time ago.
Everything, everywhere, is alive. Use it. Wield it as your weapon, but respect it. We are all made of ki, our very spirit. As long as you have the will to live, you have a chance to fight. After all, you are alive.
Master.
But I had much more power than that. You see, Shira, even though he pretends to have my strength, he does not have access to my full power.
Your power. That's right, it's your power, not his! Which means I can! As Goku was about to finish that sentence, once again all sound was taken away. The vacuum of sound consumed the battlefield as Raditz ducked to protect himself, with Vegeta noticing what was incoming too. Goku covered Ginyu's body with his own in order to protect his master, but the blast, just like before, sent them all into different directions. Ash now covered the battlefield, with the only sound being Frieza's laugh. He then began to hear pained screams. It was Hatsuka. What happened? Who got hit? Goku stood up, realizing that he couldn't go further as Soba was still holding onto his hand. Goku turned back to look at him in the eyes. Even in Ginyu's body, Goku could see Soba's stern expression, meaning that he believed in him. The dust began to clear, and Goku finally got a look at what happened. His breath left him as he saw Hatsuka crying over Pibara's body. Hatsuka turned to look at him, trying to tell him that he tried to protect him. He tried as much as he could, but Goku stopped listening. He fell to his knees. He could picture Pibara's smile in his mind, and the warm embrace he'd given him after a good day of training. The hope he always kept for the Yardrat people. Frieza laughed, knowing that the death of the planet was imminent. The death of the Grand Elder of Yardrat was just the first step. Raditz got up from a bunch of rubble, as did the other Saiyans and Ginyu members. Ginyu rose up next to Frieza, crossing his arms. He commanded Jeice and Bardock to attack the one left standing, as Kakarot continued to take steps towards them. Jeice and Bardock shot towards Goku, kicking and punching, but not a single one of them bothered Goku as he continued to take steps, his aura electrocuting them, pushing them off, and instantly knocking them out. Tears were flowing from his eyes as Ginyu got a little scared. Preparing one more blast, Raditz readied himself. The sound once again disappeared. Everyone in the battlefield was terrified, but when sound returned, they realized none of them had moved. As Goku stood tall in front of Ginyu and Frieza, the blast being absorbed onto his hand. As it finished being absorbed, it revealed the man. No, the legend.
It can't be.
Kakarot, that's the...
Forced
legendary
Spirit
Super
Fission!
Saiyan.
Goku appeared instantly before Ginyu, punching him in the stomach with shocking speed. Even though he struck Ginyu, his eyes darted towards Frieza, who was completely frozen in fear. Ginyu kneeled over in pain as Goku grabbed him by the neck and rushed over back to Soba. Everyone watched in awe as Goku kneeled in between both bodies, unsure of what was happening. Frieza fired a death beam in desperation, but to his surprise, Raditz defended him, using his arms to tank the attack and being sent away. Goku breathed in as Soba in Ginyu's body looked at him in the eyes. He was proud, but what was he gonna do? Sorry about this.
Huh?
Goku slammed his fist at the same time against Ginyu and Soba's chest, using his forced Spirit Fission to force out two small key balls from the mouths of the bodies. They floated over to the palm of his hand as he crossed them, placing them in the opposite body. Incredible! He used Force Spirit Fission to force out Ginyu and Soba from the wrong body! He can't believe it. He couldn't imagine Force Spirit Fission could be used in this way, but Shira sure was a creative one. It was time for him to step into the battlefield again. Goku placed a hand on his shoulder, telling him to sit down. Goku turned on his heel, locking eyes with Frieza. This sent a cold down Frieza's spine. Was this really the legend? This was whom his father and his lineage had warned about? No, he wouldn't allow this. He would finish this now. Frieza rose up to the sky, creating a giant death ball.
No, no, no! This ends now! I can survive in the world's explosion. Can you, Super Saiyan?
But Goku didn't speak a word, instead placing two fingers on his forehead, appearing in front of Frieza, and teleporting away. Everyone was left speechless. Where had they gone? Hatsuka hurried by the side of Soba, healing him as fast as he could, but the remaining Ginyu members ramped up, rushing towards the last Yardrat in an attempt to help their captain, unsure of what had occurred. But just as they were going to reach him, Vegeta zoomed in front. If he wasn't going to be the one to kill Frieza, then at least he'd kill his top men. If Kakarot dies, if the legend isn't enough, then it will be up to him to defend the Saiyans. Nappa and Raditz, though extremely hurt, stood right by his side. Inspired by the sudden appearance of the Super Saiyan, the three great Saiyans never backed down.
The low-class Kakarot may be the Super Saiyan, but I won't stay far for long.
Vegeta's aura sparked up bright as he smashed his fist against Jaice's face, sending him crashing back down towards Frieza's ship, and at just the right angle that the ship came crashing down. Bardock was terrified, his eyes widened. How did these Saiyans get so strong? What was their secret? Meanwhile, Goku teleported Frieza around the galaxy. They appeared on planet Namek, rushing past the mountain he turned around, causing the giant bird to wake up once more. Nail sprung up, looking out to the Grand Elder's home and watching the battle. The Grand Elder was already smiling, so it really was him, Shira. Goku and Frieza appeared once more, this time on planet Zune. Pui was training a handful of people, having turned his life around and deciding to teach others how to battle. He didn't recognize Shira just by looking at him, but his ki, unmistakable. They appeared again, this time on planet Cereal. They sped through the city as Goku tried to avoid as many civilians as possible. The young Granola, who hadn't seen Goku in many years, only recognized Frieza. The other man wore familiar clothing. Was he the Saiyan he saw long ago? Fueled by rage and longing for the civilization he once knew, he aimed with his sniper shot at both of them, firing and hitting Goku's arm as he disappeared again. Granola was left speechless.
Stop this now, Frieza. It's over for you.
No, no, no! You're the one who will die!
Neither of us have to die. Appearing in a small blue planet divided by war between mutated Namekians and androids. As they passed by an old man, his head spun to watch the fight for a second. What the hell was that? He thought to himself.
Where the hell are you taking me? You're wasting your energy with these stupid games.
I'm taking you far away from anyone you could hurt. That is no waste of energy. Frieza screamed out, his muscles bulging to the max as he finally pushed Goku off of him, and they both crashed into the final destination, spinning out of control into the walls of a cave inside of an asteroid.
Where have you taken us?
I don't know. Far away from civilization. I don't know what key presses I locked into.
Whatever the case, this ends here, Super Saiyan. Once I'm done with you, I won't only find the secrets of Yardrat, but I'll enslave its people and destroy the planet.
Goku took a deep breath. This form was taking a huge toll on him. He concentrated, remembering the words from Soba.
Everything, everywhere is alive. Use it. Wield it as your weapon.
He could sense it. Even inside this distant asteroid, bacteria, mold, a star dying, a ship flying close by, and even a family of worms? Wait, what? From the wall behind Frieza, a giant one-eyed worm crashed out from it, dragging Frieza across the wall and into another. Frieza was caught off guard, screaming out and firing a death beam through it, killing it.
Enough! I won't let you kill any more beings!
Goku burst his aura open as more and more worms came crashing down from either side. Goku grabbed Frieza by the neck and burst upwards through the asteroid. Frieza broke free, firing multiple death beams from each finger and causing the cave to come down on Goku.
I will not let you destroy my world!
Goku punched through each boulder coming down, his aura pushing him further up as Frieza and himself punched each other across the face. The battle continued, with neither having a clear edge, filled with craggy surfaces and the occasional burst of molten lava. Goku's eyes darted between Frieza and innocent space worms. He wouldn't allow harm to befall these animals. As Goku and Frieza clashed, energy blasts and shockwaves threatened the worms' habitat. Goku skillfully maneuvered, ensuring his attacks avoided the worms. With a surge of determination, Goku led Frieza away from them.
Pathetic. Putting your life in the line for these disgusting, mindless creatures. You can't save them all, Saiyan. This asteroid, their home, will be their grave.
Frieza began to generate a death ball, but Goku wouldn't allow that, as Goku grew into a massive size, grabbed the death ball and chucked it to a nearby star. How could Frieza keep up with this guy? Goku shrunk once more and kept on shrinking as he avoided Frieza's attacks. Frieza dodged out of the way of a punch, only for Goku's fist to grow immediately to cover the space he had dodged onto, slamming Frieza into the wall. Meanwhile, on planet Yardrat, as Nappa lifted two fingers up to destroy an area filled with Frieza soldiers, people like Cranberry and Apu went flying into different directions, killed in the blast. The newly healed Soba saw something incoming. It was Ginyu. With whatever energy he had left, he had stood up and spread his arms wide open. Soba knew what was about to happen. He appeared right in front of Ginyu before he could blast, as the soldier's heart dropped.
You couldn't use my power very well, could you? Here, I'll give you a taste.
Forming a key ball the size of a baseball in his hand, he pressed it firmly against Ginyu's chest, the sound around him completely disappearing as he burst into nothingness. Soba spun on his heel to look at Bardock. He was now surrounded. Vegeta, Nappa, Raditz, Hatsuka, Yaki, and Soba, all staring him down. Bardock gulped. He knew this was it. But Soba stepped up, telling them to let him go. He can be an example to the remainders of the Frieza Force.
Tell them that the universe is under my protection now.
Bardock, terrified, began to fly away as fast as he could, but Vegeta wasn't going to let this happen. Pointing two fingers at him, Bardock exploded.
Dirty fireworks.
Hatsuka face-palmed, but quickly looked up to the sky, wondering what had become of his best friend. The fight continued, with Goku's Ozaru Breaker threatening to defeat Frieza, but the Emperor's death beams pierced rapidly through each one of the clones. As the final one was about to reach him, Frieza used his telekinesis to trap him in a key ball and slam Goku to the ground. But as the smoke covered the area, Goku came rushing up, a single Ozaru Breaker in the palm of his hand, and slammed it against Frieza's face. Goku reappeared above Frieza, slamming him down to the ground which was dug out by a worm, who caught Frieza in his mouth and shook him about. Goku landed, with the worm spitting Frieza out, the tyrant tumbling towards Goku's feet. He had been humiliated and defeated, but he wasn't dead yet. Goku's weary eyes stared down at the defeated form of Frieza, his hand extended in an offer of mercy. The battle had taken a toll in both warriors, and despite all the pain and destruction, Goku's compassion still flickered within him. Frieza, it doesn't have to end like this. Let go of your hatred, and maybe we can find a way to change your path, to atone for your sins. Frieza's battered form twitched slightly, his eyes reflecting a mix of exhaustion and defiance. His thirst for blood, however, remained unbroken.
To think I'd ever allow myself to be saved by a monkey.
With a hint of sadness, Goku's hand remained suspended between them, but before he could react, Frieza's arms glowed with energy. A searing blast shot downwards, piercing through the asteroid's core, the entire structure trembling violently, and the space worm scattered in fear. Goku's eyes widened as he felt the seismic shift beneath their feet. What have you done? Frieza's maniacal laughter echoed, distorted by the chaos surrounding them.
You fool! You thought you could sway me? You thought forgiveness was a weapon? I'll show you how I choose to end things.
Goku's resolve hardened as the situation worsened rapidly, sorrowful eyes locking onto Frieza. I do believe everyone can change, but maybe Master Soba was right. There would come a time where I'd failed to save someone. Goku's hand tightened into a fist, slowly flying away from the Emperor. But you failed to consider one thing, Frieza. I'm not just a Saiyan. I'm a Yardrat. Frieza's eyes widened as Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead. Frieza had doomed himself. Desperate to kill or at least damage his opponent in any way he could, the tyrant pulled his arm back, using every bit of energy he had left and unleashing a giant wave of energy, but not aimed at Goku, aimed at one of the giant creatures he was protecting. Goku burst towards it, catching the blast as he was being pushed back. Run away! This was the most pain Goku had ever felt. He wasn't sure if he could do this, but as he felt the head of the creature touch his back, he realized something. They would die either way if he left them with Frieza. His aura opened once more, the serene hum of the Super Saiyan moving to his hands as a black and white ki ball began to form on his palms. With the final bit of energy he had left, the blast slowly gained ground on Frieza, pushing it back as it ate more of the Emperor's final attack. With tears streaming down his face, the blast continued to move. The energy engulfed him, the laugh turning into screams as they finally faded away, the beam seen from the outside. The ship which Goku had felt earlier, even detecting it. It was beautiful. The force of the explosion blasted Goku backwards, his form battered and singed. As dust settled, the asteroid continued to break apart, its imminent destruction inevitable. Goku staggered to his feet, his eyes now empty of anger and sorrow, replaced by a profound weariness. He grieved for the life he had taken, even though it had been in the defense of the innocent. The creatures he had defended gathered around him, somehow recognizing that he was not their enemy. With his last strength, Goku placed a hand on one of their heads. To tell you the truth, I was bluffing a little. I was hoping that me threatening to teleport away would make Frieza see that there was other ways beyond death, but he chose it anyways. Now I don't have enough power to teleport. It's ironic. Sorry I couldn't save y'all. Maybe we can hang out in another world. Goku began to drift in and out of consciousness and looked up as the asteroid's remnants floated around him. Just as darkness threatened to consume Goku, a blinding light pierced through the shadows. An enigmatic spacecraft descended, casting an otherworldly glow upon the befallen warrior. Goku's eyes fluttered open. As Goku's vision blurred, he heard a voice. The spacecraft's door opened, revealing a figure obscured by brilliance.
What the hell are you doing here? Was that Frieza? This place is gonna blow. Come with me.
Not without them.
Them? You mean those gross worms? Are you crazy?
If I live, I save them. Everyone. Jacko, the galactic patrolman, knowing that he'd have to question this man about Frieza and wanting to save him, had no option but to comply. These vile creatures, it wasn't the first time he'd faced them, placed Goku inside the ship, using its life support system to heal him. He had trouble with the worms at first, but Goku could somehow get them to listen to him. Thus, the worms were ringed onto the spacecraft.
Jacko to HQ. Jacko to HQ.
We reach you, Jacko?
Got a delivery of giant worms incoming.
What?
But above that, a Saiyan. A Saiyan who, I think, just defeated Frieza.
Are you sure?
Positive, he's in need of immediate medical attention.
Understood. We're on our way.
Jacko turned to look at the unconscious Saiyan next to him, sleeping peacefully. It was weird. He could have sworn that his hair looked blonde at first. So, Kibito, you think he should be the one?
Why, absolutely.
Alright then, we'll go find him and put an end to Majin Buu once and for all. We open in the middle of a fight against King Cold. Cold can barely stand up, but Goku isn't going to let him go. But a blast comes his way and kills him anyways. Goku yells at whoever shot that, turning around to look at Jacko and Raditz. Raditz took the chance to kill King Cold, wearing a Galactic Patrol uniform. Jacko reprimands him for killing another one without trial, but Raditz says his finger slipped. Goku rolls his eyes as he thinks about the past few months. Goku had recovered from the fight against Frieza. The Galactic Patrol healed him and he remained in custody for a while. During it, Miras asks Goku to return one day as he wants to train with him. Raditz has remained on Yardrat. We see him riding on the giant worms Goku brought, gathering supplies. Vegeta and Nappa stuck around as well. Goku thinks they were changing. Nappa even likes gardening. Soba doesn't really like them, but he knows he can keep them in check. They are currently rebuilding Yardrat. For now, Soba is declared the Grand Elder. The Yardrats had finally accepted Soba, as the various clan members showed support. Vegeta leaves to find a way to get stronger and get Super Saiyan, while Goku continues to liberate planets alongside the Galactic Patrol. But what really surprised Goku was Raditz's announcement that he wanted to go with them and become a Galactic Patroller. There, Goku finally got to check out the time chamber with Raditz and Miras. Miras simply watched their training. Seeing him in action, now he understood how he could defeat Frieza. In a few months, Raditz was a full-fledged Galactic Patroller. Now in the present, Goku and Raditz clash heads, but Jakku and Miras break it up. It's not like King Cold was going to get anything but the death penalty anyways. Goku disagrees completely with the idea, as Miras asks if he's ready for their next planet. Goku looks at the time and tells everyone that he's sorry, but he has something to attend, leaving Raditz tired of him. Goku meets with Nail. Pibara and Guru have both passed away. Goku was sad that he didn't get to say goodbye to them, but Nail reassures him that Guru loved him very much. Nail asks him if that's what he wants the Dragon Balls for, to revive them? No. We in Yardrat were taught that life and death are part of the same stream. Pibara has never left me. In fact, he only makes me stronger every day. I know he wouldn't want that. It's not in our culture to grieve for death, but to celebrate the passage into another realm. Nail smiled at him, seeing why Guru cared so much for him. The new Grand Elder Murray walks out and asks if they're ready for their match.
Remember, we're weaving away the Dragon Ball challenges just for you, but only if you beat me will you get them.
Heh, I wouldn't have it any other way, with Nail actually pushing Goku into Super Saiyan. But that's ultimately what defeats the Namekian. He tells Goku that he will continue to train harder and harder, so he can challenge him again one day. Goku uses Purunga to bring planet Yardrat back to its original state prior to the fights against Frieza, but he leaves the other two wishes for Nail, disappearing and leaving Nail all annoyed. He teleports back to planet Yardrat in order to celebrate. He has a happy reunion with Soba and the others, as a big celebration is thrown on planet Yardrat, with Goku inviting many friends, including Nail, Dende, Pui, Raditz, Nappa, Vegeta, Gurei, and Tarble. Tarble is hesitant to approach his brother, which Goku finds surprising. Tarble also thanks him for his work against Frieza, but Vegeta tells him to train more. As the celebrations continue, two mysterious figures appear from the crowd. Goku doesn't question it, he has a lot of friends around the universe, but these two seem off. They introduce themselves as Kaioshin and Kibito, and they begin to explain. An evil wizard named Babidi is collecting warriors from across the universe and seeking to release Majin Buu. Goku doesn't need much convincing in order to agree. However, it turns out Vegeta was listening. As the celebrations wind down, Goku bids farewell to his friends. Pui makes him promise to come to planet Zune for a rematch one day. Tarble asks Vegeta where he's going to, and Vegeta simply replies,
to find a way to go beyond.
With Goku saying goodbye to Soba, Yaki, and Hatsuka as he goes to train in the Kaioshin realm. Goku begins his training, but he can't pick up the Sea Sword quite yet. Goku promises he can do it in just a few more days, but Kibito says that they don't have days, they only have maybe hours. But that's all Goku really needs. Without another word, Goku teleports over to the Galactic Patrol HQ and asks Miras to train him in the chamber. Miras says that he thought he wasn't ready just yet, but Goku explains just what's going to happen in the galaxy. Raditz also joins in the training, just for a few hours. They come out, and Raditz has achieved Super Saiyan, and Goku Super Saiyan 2. In fact, he even learned a little bit more. There was a strange power that Miras had, a way for his body to move without him even thinking, and Goku wanted that for himself. Goku returns to the Kaioshin realm, and he finally lifts up the Z-Sword with ease. Kibito can't believe it. Meanwhile, we switch over to planet Zune. There, many of the inhabitants have been killed. Babidi asks one more question to the fallen Pui. Will he join his ranks? Pui spits at the ground. He tells them that they have no honor, no respect for life. Pui holds himself up using the Ajisa tree Goku planted as support. Babidi calls him a fool and says that he can die like the rest of his people, telling Dabura to kill him. But Pui has a few final words.
Even if you take my life, it doesn't matter. I know someone out there who will stop you. You don't stand a chance against Shira.
Pui was shot and killed. They yell at their last ally to come along with them. The warrior stares at Pui's dead body on the tree. The camera pans up to reveal Majin Vegeta. The training at the Kaioshin realm continues as Goku swings the Sea Sword. He isn't used to fighting with weapons, but this is making him quite powerful. Shin and Shira often argue about the Kai versus the instant transmission, as they have slowly become good friends. But there is friction, as Shin wants Shira to ultimately kill Babidi, something which Goku heavily disagrees. Until finally, one day, Babidi strikes Earth. This is much sooner than Shin had anticipated. Goku senses the key of Earth as he realizes that there's actually a lot of strong guys there. Not crazy strong, but strong. A lot of them felt similar to Nail. Shin yells at Goku that they need to head to Earth now, but Goku says that there is too many of them. They're gonna need some help. Shin cocks an eyebrow but joins him. Goku teleports many places, getting Soba, Raditz, and Nail. He also asks Miras to join, but once again he says that he cannot battle and apologizes. He asks Nappa, but Nappa doesn't really care about other planets and refuses to help. He was taking care of the Cybermen colonies. And finally, he just couldn't find Vegeta. Nail said that after their last battle, he got his potential unlocked by the new Grand Elder and continued training. So think of him as Piccolo level after fusing with Kami, maybe even a little further beyond. Goku teleports to planet Zoon looking for Pui Pui. He finds a desolate area with little life, except for a few Sunjin. They are afraid of Goku at first, recognizing the Saiyan, but soon realize that he is not the one that attacked them. They explain that Babidi and his men found Zoon and tried to recruit their people. When they refused, many died. What about Pui Pui? He fought back, right? He drove them off. They stay quiet and move out of the way to reveal his body. Goku holds Pui Pui's hand as a tear falls from his face. Electricity sparks up. Nail realizes that he's out of his league still. They all are. Goku holds onto the sea sword as he buries Pui Pui under the Ajiza tree. They teleport to Earth. Once they arrive, they realize just how much chaos there is. Not only did he now realize he sensed mutated Namekians birthed by King Piccolo, but also failed to sense a whole nother set of fighters, androids. Now, a small army of mutated Namekians and androids with M's on their forehead fly around, terrorizing Earth. Raditz and Nail blow them away as Goku tells them to stop, that they can do this without killing anyone else. Clearly, this planet has suffered enough already, but more demons and androids rush their way, determined to collect their Kili. Tambourine came flying behind Raditz, only to be stopped by Akiko Ho. They all turn around to see Krillin. Krillin tells them to come with him, introducing himself along the way. They start to move until he realizes that a Namekian's with them, attacking Nail. Nail slaps the blast away. Krillin is terrified. Goku can sense it, asking what the hell is going on.
What do you mean? That's Piccolo, run away!
Suddenly, more androids and Namekians attack, to which Nail blasts him away, keeping them at bay. Krillin doesn't know what's going on, but thinks he'll have to just get advice from his master. They listen. Maybe they can find out where Babidi is. Krillin is happily surprised to find that they were strong. The hideout is at Capsule Corp. Earth had been driven into turmoil without Goku. Though Grandpa Gohan had gone with Bulma to find the Dragon Balls and stopped Pilaf from getting his wish, King Piccolo was still freed by him. The Red Ribbon Army continued to look for the Dragon Balls after Red, in fact, did get his wish to get taller, only to get killed by Black. As the new leader, Black fast-tracked the creation of more androids. That's when King Piccolo began his attack. Realizing that he couldn't rule if Piccolo got in his way, the army used the androids to fight the demons. These androids are fairly primitive, unlike the ones from Z, as they don't have any records of Saiyans. With that being said, they're still strong thanks to Namekian DNA. The Namekians likewise have evolved and gotten stronger over time. King Piccolo successfully obtained the Dragon Balls, wished for youth, and killed Shenron. Now Kami watched from the lookout in horror as a few brave warriors stood up to the enemies. Amongst them are Master Roshi, Grandpa Gohan, Krillin, Tien, and Chaozu. However, Master Roshi passed away trying to seal away Piccolo. Seeing the death of his rival and the sure destruction of Earth, Master Shen took it upon himself to train Roshi's old students. Little progress was made, and Earth is now in ruins. They make it inside, where a battle-hardened Bulma and the others rest. They are on the edge about Nail, but Master Gohan steps out of the shadows and tells them to sense his energy. He is not evil, not like the others. It is revealed that the enemies used to be much weaker until a ship landed. Suddenly, M's formed on their foreheads, and the destruction was amplified. The heavy steps of an android are heard, as in comes Android 16. Raditz gets on guard, realizing he wears the insignia of those that attacked him, but Bulma stands up, leaning on him. She explains that she had actually reprogrammed 16 and gave him free will. They had found Jiro's old lab deactivated because he refused to join and fight alongside the Majins. 16 is fully mechanical, so his mind wasn't corrupted.
If you are going after this, Babidi, then I wish to come. There were 2 other androids with me, 17 and 18, who were taken and brainwashed. They are my friends.
Tien speaks up. One android was enough. They don't need any more. Bulma argues back, saying that 16 said that they weren't bad people, just tools for Jiro. Jiro resorted to kidnapping those disenfranchised by the war and turned them into androids. Without Saiyans around, these androids are weaker, but still far stronger than the others. Shin requests to be taken to the ship. They need to stop Babidi. Goku promised that they will liberate this world, but that no one has to die. This confuses everyone. If we defeat Babidi, then they will be freed from their mind control.
What about after? This war has been raging far before Babidi. Neither either band will just peacefully resign. If you want to help us, you have to get rid of them both.
All life is precious, even those demons and androids out there. I'll find a way. Tien gets all up in Goku's face, but Soba stands up, asking them to give Goku a chance. Goku interjects, saying to give him 2 hours. If he hasn't freed them and stopped them within that time, they all stay quiet. The pain within Goku obvious. They will fight, but they won't kill for now. Goku cheerfully smiles as he looks at Krillin and asks for directions. Goku says that there's just too many enemies to make it through, that they're gonna need some to stay behind alongside the rebels and fight the androids and demons. Nail volunteers. He doesn't want Earth to perceive Namekians as evil because of the actions of this monster. Raditz agrees. Bulma wipes war paint on her face. It's time to move. They step out of Capsule Corp and into a mass destruction as instantly androids and demons try to take their killie. Nail pulls his arm back alongside Yamcha and Tien. They all fire one massive blast to clear the way. Goku rushes ahead with the path cleared. Soba, Krillin, Shin, and Kibito ride by his side. They finally make it to the destroyed World Tournament, where they watch as androids and demons come and go, giving energy to Babidi. Right by his side stands Dabura, the true Demon King.
To think that Namekian pretended to hold my title. He'd better hope he gets his share of killie soon, or I'll show him what a true Demon King is.
Goku quickly stands up, not listening to anyone telling him to stop. He calls out Babidi's name, saying that he won't let him revive Majin Buu. Demons swarm them as Goku rushes forward and attacks Dabura. Dabura spits at Goku, but Kibito teleports before him, being turned into stone. Goku curses, but doesn't slow down, slapping Dabura into a rock formation. Babidi makes it back to his spaceship. As Soba yells at them to all get inside, he will take care of the Demon King. The first floor is Yakon, which Goku begins to fight as a Super Saiyan. Yakon begins absorbing Goku's killie, while Goku uses Spirit Fission to get it back. The battle becomes a stalemate of power absorption, but Goku's Force Spirit Fission was far more effective, to the point where Yakon's stamina depletes and he gets knocked out. Android 16 was surprised at the enemies from the next floor: Dr. Gero, 17, and 18. Gero was surprised to see 16. He had put him away for a reason. It was clear that Gero had pain behind those eyes. Why was that? But 18 laughed, lunging at Raditz, pushing him into a wall while Goku tried to restrain 17. Raditz thought 18 was pretty cute. He didn't want to strike such a pretty lady, but Gero responded by slamming him against Goku and forcing him to let go of 17. 16 appeared before them and kicked them into a wall, as Goku dropping the Z-Sword and transforming into a Super Saiyan 2, with 16 telling her that their fate is sealed if they don't turn back now. They can still change things. A spark of hope shone in her eyes, but Babidi's magic was too strong, her eyes flashing red again, just as 16 let his guard down and blasting him in the chest. Android bits flew everywhere as 16 laid against the wall, but still survived. 18 was going to take this chance to kill him right then and there, as Raditz kicked 17 into Goku, who caught him and grabbed him into the face, slamming him to the ground and knocking him out. But something unexpected happened. With a pained scream, Gero jumped in front of the blast. The android master was killed instantly as he yelled out for his son. Goku felt his heart sink, appearing before 18 while she was in shock, bursting forward and knocking her out. 16 stood up with sadness in his eyes. He apologized for not being able to save him.
I am not his son, but a mere recreation of him. He did not have to save me. 18 and 17 have their souls too. I promise you that.
I believe you, but for now, they need to be elsewhere, somewhere safe, until we defeat Babidi. Raditz told Goku that he'd do it. He teleported the twins over to planet Yardrat, where Yaki and Hatsuka promised to take care of them. Meanwhile, Soba battled Dabura. The Yardrat master had trained since the last battles against Frieza in order to not be eclipsed by his student, as the demon was more frustrated than anything. Soba had been teleporting all over the place, shrinking and more. Ever since Ginyu took his body, he had started to once again use those Yardrat moves, and he had forgotten how much fun it could be. The demon cursed as he sped at Soba. This is just what he was waiting for. In a matter of milliseconds, Soba ducked from the spit, grabbed Dabura, and teleported him in front of it. The Demon King defeated by his own technique. He looked over at the statue of Kibito, which hadn't changed, making sure that Shira wasn't there, and flicked the Dabura statue, shattering it into pieces and saving Kibito.
May you find a better path in the next life.
Meanwhile, the crew was off to the last room. The room changed into a site which which only Raditz recognized. The ruins of planet Vegeta. Out of the shadows steps Majin Vegeta. Raditz can't believe his eyes. What had the prince done? Vegeta explains that after he saw the Super Saiyan, he left, seeking more power for himself. But even after he found it, he watched Kakarot get stronger and stronger. Goku and Raditz fall to their knees. Babidi was attempting to take them over. Shin yells at them to fight it back, while 16 and Krillin burst forward to attack Vegeta. Raditz sees visions of his old life, of planets he conquered, while Kakarot saw something strange. He heard the roars of an Ozaru, a smile on his own face the moment he killed Frieza, a moment that haunted him. His parents placing him on a pod, but flickering into a Saiyan scientist saying he'd be sent to conquer. Vegeta, while toying with 16 and Krillin, yelled at Babidi to stop it. He wants this fight to be his alone. Raditz, surprisingly, was the first to break free from the spell. The allure of the old life and power was there, but his new life was what he wanted. His brother, however, continued to struggle, darkness seeping in. It was just like the first time he went to Namek. The vision of planet Vegeta undid itself as two figures burst down from the top, Kibito and Soba. Vegeta rolled his eyes as he kicked 16 out of the way. Soba realized something was going on with Shira.
Shira, son, if you give in, not only will you be a slave, but you'll be forced to kill at his command. You'll leave children without fathers, just as Frieza did to you.
That was what did it. An explosion of energy was expelled from him. Darkness that had nearly taken him over. Goku panted, completely tired. He thanked Soba. Goku tells the rest to go after Majin Buu while he takes care of Vegeta. Shin was surprised. He had never seen Shira like this, but he listened. As Raditz was about to be blasted away, Goku appeared before the attack, slapping it away. Vegeta's face was marked by a smirk. Finally, Soba asked Shira if he was okay, and he simply nodded. Meanwhile, Nail faces off against an army of demons. These androids lessened, and the demons began to retreat. Have they won the battle? Bulma shook her head, pointing to something on the horizon. It was a floating ship. Inside, King Piccolo sat on his throne. He told Piano and the Majinized Pilaf gang that he believed somehow Kami had wished for youth, but he was now stronger than before. The Majin power had not only increased his strength, but the constant fighting against the androids and training against the demons had put him above anyone on Earth. It was time to end things. King Piccolo walked to the edge of the ship, dropping down a tiny keyball that blew away a large portion of the battleground. Nail opened his aura to shield and protect the others, as Bulma yelled out for everyone to retreat. Nail smirked. No, it was time to finish this. King Piccolo jumps down, welcoming quote-unquote Kami to his realm. Nail laughed. He was no god. The king was confused. You mean you don't know? We're Namekians, a race of peaceful beings. I will clear our name from this world and stop you. King Piccolo refused to believe it, and he rushed towards Nail. The pure Namekian dodged with ease. King Piccolo was strong, but Nail had been training too much to be bothered. He continued to toy with the Demon King until he tried to fire a blast at the humans in an attempt to catch his foe off guard. Tien thought this could be the end of them, but Nail jumped in the way, his arms outstretched in the process, destroying one of them. The king laughed loudly, only for Nail to smirk and burst out a new arm. Nail then extended said arm to grab the Demon King and threw him up to the sky. Nail appeared above, telling the king that he'd take him back to Namek and show him a lesson. Nail hammer-fisted the king down below, but he was still going to fight, firing one last blast at Nail. The humans knew this was their chance to finally defeat the demons. Grandpa Gohan, commanding the rest of the heroes, all fired their own attacks. King Piccolo was consumed by the final blast, laying on the floor with no power left. Nail stepped up to him, saying that he'd be taken to Namek and judged by the elders. Piccolo began to freak out. He is the greatest Demon King. His ki began to increase as from his mouth he spat out one final egg into the forest. Piccolo was going to take them all down with him. Nail yelled at everyone to get away as King Piccolo exploded. The humans were hurt severely, but survived. Even so, demons and androids remained. They drove them away for now, but they would come back. Bulma ordered Tien and Yamcha to find the egg. Nail asked what they were going to do with it, to which Bulma said that she'd have to dispose of it, in case it came for revenge. Nail commanded her to stop, that he'd take care of it. From now on, the egg, as well as every mutated Namekian, were to be taken care of by the people of his home planet. They will not cause any trouble there. Bulma was hesitant, but after seeing Nail's power, there was little she could do. Nail found the egg and placed it somewhere safe for now. The battlefield was a blaze of intense energy. Majin Vegeta and Super Saiyan 2 Goku stood opposite of each other, eyes locked, tension palpable. Goku grew into his giant form, throwing a colossal punch to Vegeta, but the Saiyan Prince was swift, rocketing upwards and blasting Goku in the face. Goku staggered, and Vegeta surged forward, energy surrounding his hand, aiming for a finishing blow. Just then, Goku shrunk back to normal size. Using Force Spirit Vision, he sapped away some of the dark energy that Babidi had bestowed upon Vegeta, weakening him momentarily.
You went to Planet Zoon, didn't you? You found that fool Pui Pui. He had high hopes that you'd stop Babidi.
He knew Babidi was responsible for this, but he didn't think Vegeta was involved. His aura intensified, each blow fueled by anger and grief. But the memory of Pui Pui flashed in his mind. This anger, this thirst for vengeance, this wasn't his true essence. This was the part which Babidi was trying to exploit. He was allowing himself to be caught up in the storm of emotions, just like Vegeta had. The fighting paused for a moment as Vegeta struggled to catch his breath.
Vegeta, look at us. We're destroying each other. What's your point, Kakarot?
You went from serving Frieza, a tyrant who treated you like a pawn, to becoming a puppet for Babidi. And now, I almost let my anger dictate my actions. We can be better than this. You fought hard alongside me to take down Frieza, only to turn around and serve another? Vegeta's defenses wavered as he processed Goku's words. He was right, but he was too far gone. With tears forming in his eyes, Vegeta yelled, "Enough!" The two Saiyans separated, taking stances on opposite ends. They charged their energy for one final beam struggle, a final flash versus the Ozaru Breaker. The two beams collided, creating a spectacle of light and power. The earth trembled, but Vegeta's heart wasn't in it. The weight of the realization combined with Goku's edge and power meant that he was gradually pushed back. Suddenly, Vegeta's beam began to diminish, but instead of fighting back, Vegeta closed his eyes and allowed the energy to engulf him. The dust settled as Goku closed in on Vegeta. The two were nearly killed in that battle, but they continued to feel Majin Buu's ki growing. He'd be out in no time.
Why should I listen to you?
Because together we can push each other to new heights instead of being used by another. Let's train together. We'll surpass each other without the need to serve anyone else. It'll be your own power that puts you above me, not his. He outstretched his arm, standing up alongside his Saiyan brethren. But first, they'll have to stop Majin Buu. Shira healed Vegeta, standing together. The ground beneath their feet began to shake. Nail and the humans hurried to the battle site. Majin Buu had been reborn. The egg was teleported from the inside of the ship to the desert near Goku and Vegeta, as Shin, Kibito, Raditz, Krillin, 16 and Soba fire blasted the egg to stop it. But it was too late. Goku picked up the sea sword and nodded at Vegeta, rushing at the monster. Majin Buu was sillier than expected and didn't listen to Babidi, but he was wreaking havoc nonetheless. During the commotion, Soba sensed something while close to Buu. There was a power within him that did not belong to him. As despair threatened to set in, two blinding auras appeared. Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta. Krillin cheered for them as they struck Buu in perfect sync, kicking him together and blasting him again. But the blob continued to regenerate. Goku tried to slice and dice him with the sea sword, but it nearly got stuck inside of Buu. It was clear that the legendary sword was not the answer. That's when Soba screamed out that there was something within the monster. If they can take it out, maybe they can weaken him. Goku agreed. The two Saiyans launched a synchronized assault. Suddenly, from the skies and the ground alike, more warriors arrived. Nail instructed them to all fire blast at Buu, surprising Babidi and causing him to be blasted into the wall. From the distance, a mech piloted by Bulma shot out energy beams and missiles while the others did what they could, even with their lower power level. Raditz tried to help his brother out, caught in a tug of war against Buu, slowly losing as his bones gave in. But he had to help him. He had to ensure that no one else was enslaved like he was. In that moment, Raditz's eyes sparkled green once more. With whatever little energy he had left, he had managed to muster up a Super Saiyan form. The sudden burst gave Goku an opening. Rushing behind Buu, Buu's head twisted, his terrifying smile turning to look at Goku as he shot out a candy beam. Goku couldn't stop himself. At the last second, Soba pointed his arm outwards, a clone of himself jumping out into the line of fire, being turned into candy. Goku jumped over the clone, grabbing Buu's head tentacle, and from it, spirit fishing out something incredible. Two more figures were on the ground now. Goku had pulled out the Grand Kaioshin and the Southern Kaioshin. Shin couldn't believe his eyes as he kneeled by his old friends attempting to heal them. His head spun to look at the smoke dissipating. Buu transformed into Kid Buu. Vegeta actually laughed at the kid as Babidi called him a traitor and told him to attack Goku and the others. Vegeta burst forward instead, attacking Kid Buu alongside Raditz and Goku, but the Majin's defenses seemed impenetrable. Babidi, realizing Vegeta had betrayed him, began to call on his demons and androids to return. With Kid Buu in the middle, the arena became a burst of chaos. The humans struggled to defend themselves. Even Nail, 16 and the others helped out. Raditz was the most hurt and saw the army swarming the battlefield. He knew he had to get someone to help. Jacko, do you read me? SOS on Earth. Army of demons, androids, Majin Buu. He wasn't sure if the message was received. He could only hope. For Goku, it seemed hopeless. The South Kaioshin and the Grand Kaioshin regained consciousness, with Shin hugging the Grand Kai tightly. He asked what was going on, only to look at Buu in those eyes. He couldn't believe he was still around. Shin told them that there was little he could do, as the South Kai burst out to support the humans. Yamcha was killed in battle, and Bulma left with severe injuries after her mech exploded. They needed to do something. Shin told the Grand Kai that they needed to kill him, only to hear Goku shout at him again. No killing. But if we don't do something, these demons will continue to kill everyone. They're too strong thanks to him. Find another way. Goku returned to the fight with the Grand Kai's eyes fixated on him. This man was something else. He could sense purity in him, and innocence much like his own, but also darkness. The Grand Kai told him to leave this to him. More and more continued to fall, as Soba took a direct hit, leaving the master incapacitated. Even Majin Vegeta proved nothing against Buu's regeneration. He instead directed his ferocity to Goku. The Pink Terror launched a barrage of attacks, each one more wild than the next. But something was different in Goku. Each attack, no matter how unpredictable, missed him by a hair. Goku's body seemed to move on its own, evading with a fluidity and grace that was eerily similar to Mira's. He was remembering just what he taught him, though it was far from perfect. Kid Buu was frustrated by this. Goku, however, deep in concentration, began to see through Buu's chaotic nature. To Goku, Buu felt like the embodiment of raw ki, wild and untamed, a force of nature. A memory flashed through Goku's mind, Soba's words about wielding ki as a weapon. If Kid Buu was the very essence of ki, then perhaps Goku could use the spirit fission technique to his advantage. Goku began to evade blows and strike Buu, each blow sapping out tiny bits of Genki from the monster, but it wasn't much. He would need help from everyone else. Meanwhile, the Grand Kai blasted at Babidi. The wizard responded with his own attack, surprised to see the Kai of old, but this was just what the Grand Kai wanted. He only ever had to use this technique against one other, as he screamed out, Kai Kai Matoru! Babidi's eyes widened as lightning struck the wizard and began to take away all of his magic. The Grand Kai remembered how his godly power was nearly completely consumed last time he used this, but thankfully Babidi was a much weaker wizard than Moro was. Shin, consider this my resignation. Babidi and the Grand Kai were both engulfed by light, falling to their knees. Babidi's magic was completely gone, with the Grand Kai being left with only half of his power. Dark M's faded from everyone who was possessed, including Vegeta, allowing Nail and the rest to drive them off of the battlefield. Just then, Goku asked for everyone to give him some energy. Soba was the first one to lend his power, a ball of spirit fission forming above Goku. Buu tried to get to him, but Goku continued to evade. More power came in, but he knew it wouldn't be enough. As he struggled against Buu, Nail barely managed to say something to Goku. Namek, get help from Namek! Goku realized what he meant, quickly teleporting away with all the spirit vision power. Some were left confused, but Goku appeared above the Grand Elder's place. Murray walked out with Dende. They knew what was going on Earth and gave power with no questions. He then teleported to Yardrat, asking help from his people. He teleported to planet Tek Tek, getting energy from Tarbell and his friends. Then to a planet full of hedgehog people. Then planet Zune, energy collected on top of the Saiyan, as one last bit of energy from the Ajiza tree, which served as Pui Pui's grave, entered the energy ball. Would this be enough to defeat Majin Buu? Goku struggled as he teleported back. Just as Pibara is alive in everything he does, Ki is always alive. Buu will return. He just had to hope he'd return as a good guy. Goku landed on Earth again, the energy floating overhead as he watched Vegeta and Soba being the last ones standing against Buu. If I can't do this, Kid Buu struck Vegeta in the stomach, sending him against the Grand Kai, who caught him. If I can't
Let's do this! Soba called out Shira's name as he was slammed to the ground by Buu's extended arms. Then who will? Kid Buu turned his full attention on Goku as all the energy from the spirit vision began to surround him, absorbing it into his very being. He had never felt so much energy before, so much warmth, life itself. Kid Buu burst forward, fist pulled back and full of energy. Goku felt tears drop from his cheek. The hopes of the universe were with him. He recalled his first adventure outside of Yardrat, seeing Porunga for the first time. He had to save the universe, which had been so kind to him. Dragon Fist! His aura transforming into an apparition, a golden Namekian wish dragon opening his mouth and overwhelming Kid Buu, twisting around to stare down at the world as Kid Buu was disintegrated within, turning into pure energy. Goku took a deep breath. I hope to see you again and fight you as a good guy. The dragon burst into light, energy draining down on the planet and spreading back to the world it belonged to. As plants and trees were rejuvenated, Goku stood tall, fist in the air, before passing out. Raditz ran to his brother, hugging him and celebrating. While everyone cheered, they lamented the lives lost, but they would have to move forward. Slowly, Goku opened his eyes as the Grand Kaioshin healed his wounds. Rest for now, young warrior. You have done well. As Bulma sat on top of her destroyed mech, she caught Vegeta glancing at her, to which they both blushed. When all of a sudden they heard the sounds of wings and blasts coming their way. The fighters stood back up. They couldn't do this, it was too soon. But the androids and the demons were taking their chance to attack. But from above, a shadow eclipsed the sun. Several ships burst down from a mothership, and Raditz's wrist communicator rang. Yeah, called for backup? Better late than never. Soon enough, the Galactic Patrol had apprehended nearly every android and demon, though they gave permission for Nail to take the demons and the egg back to planet Namek. A patroller, Raditz, would be assigned to watch over them. Goku could finally rest, as Soba placed a hand on his head, proud of his student. But from the crowd, Goku spotted someone else. Bulma freaked out. Was that Piccolo? Goku, Soba, and Nail quietly approached the figure. The clothing! I know you! You must be... I am Kami, the god of Earth. I should be dead. Piccolo has been defeated. Nail looked at the egg. But it seems I remain still. Despite having failed this planet, that Earth must now be my counterpart. So you split yourself. I have only heard rumors of Namekians doing this. Split yourself? To become God, I had to spell away my evil. He became Piccolo, and soon doomed the world. I hoped the Dragon Balls would be enough, but Goku stayed quiet. Spelling out evil, was that possible? He shook his head. Dragon Balls? You had Dragon Balls? That was until Piccolo killed the dragon. Well, now it's your chance to make things right. What? Repair the Dragon Balls. Give people hope. That's why they're represented to me. It was because of the Dragon Balls that I was able to find my way back home once, long ago. They saved me. I know they can save everyone else too. With them, you can restore the world to its previous beauty. Kami looked at the ground. He had failed this planet, but perhaps he could make it right. He wouldn't do it for a few years though. He wanted his own blood, sweat, and tears to help rebuild Earth. Kami thanked them for their help and told them that they're welcome to Earth anytime. He disappeared and began to meditate, thinking over the restoration of the Dragon Balls. Slowly, everyone returned to their worlds, except for Goku, who stayed for a nice meal alongside Vegeta and Raditz. Goku told 16 where he left 17 and 18, and that they were welcome to stay there. After all, maybe Earth wasn't for the androids. 16 agreed. At least for a few years, that would be for the best. Night came, and Bulma got ready to set off on a new mech alongside Shen, Tien, Krillin, and Grandpa Gohan. So what's next? Where to? We lost so many warriors over the years. Good friends. The Ox King, Chi-Chi, Master Roshi, Yamcha. You were right when you told Kami to restore them. We're gonna wait until the Dragon Radar picks up a signal, and we'll find them, and we'll try to bring them back and restore the planet. Goku disagreed with the notion that death needed to be undone, but he understood. He could use some advice from his old master Bibara. He wished Krillin and the others luck, teleporting back to planet Yardrat, along with 16, Raditz, and Vegeta. The following day, on a familiar purple planet, Goku and Vegeta stared each other down in front of the Cybermen grounds. Raditz sat atop of a space worm, watching with a smile, while Nappa gardened with a few Cybermen by his side. Ready, Vegeta? Come at me, Kakarot! Shira has far surpassed me.
Soba smiled proudly as the explosive battle rang out. Recalling the war on Earth and the guardian known as Kami, Soba looked up to the sky with a question in mind.
Master, if you can hear me, perhaps Shira will achieve the legend you told me about long ago. The Super Saiyan God.
It has been a year since the defeat of Kid Buu. Goku, Shira, has returned to planet Yardrat. There, he continues to train daily. Raditz continues to work for the Galactic Patrol. He had the privilege of arresting Babidi and has continued to arrest rebel Frieza soldiers who tried to keep the Empire alive. One thing to note is that Frieza and his army never found out about the Dragon Balls in this timeline, so Sorbet doesn't know about the possibility of reviving him. Even so, Raditz remembered him from when he went to get Goku and made sure to arrest him. Raditz too visits the Kaioshin realm in order to train. He actually likes using the Z-Sword, unlike his younger brother. Above all, however, Raditz now lives with 18. He had taken care of 17 and 18 after the defeat of Babidi. Him and the android woman ultimately fell in love. She reminded him of a proud and powerful Saiyan woman. 17 returned to Earth with 16, where they lived at Capsule Corp and helped rebuild. Their original programming is erased, and they are now freed. Though they revived those killed by the androids and demons, the Dragon Balls are still inactive, and humanity chose to come together in order to rebuild. Meanwhile, the Cybermen have begun evolving on planet Yardrat, slowly showing more and more signs of intelligence. Surely thanks to Yardrat's strong connection to Ki, and Nappa's continued gardening. He has fully embraced this life, and has even started crossbreeding Cybermen, creating new varieties. Inspired by Goku, Nail continues to train, but he has transported all of the mutated Namekians to planet Namek. And Nail and Cargo have begun taming them, with many Namekians now being able to live in harmony with them. Nail also takes care of Little Piccolo. He is an angry, dark being, but both him and Goku train the misguided child. Piccolo swears to kill them one day in the name of his father, and Nail actually encourages him to do so, just to get him to become stronger. Clearly, Piccolo is slowly changing though. During this time of peace, Soba approaches Shira about something. Planet Yardrat, his home, was a deeply spiritual place. In a way, Soba now served as Kami of that world. However, he could never be truly God, nor did he want to. Pibara had been it previously, and he could never match up to that. He came to Shira with a proposition. You want me to be God of Yardrat?
Not just a god, Shira, a guardian. You who understands Ki and life more profoundly than anyone else.
He always saw himself as a fighter, a warrior, not a deity. He looked at Soba with a hint of confusion and apprehension in his eyes. But Master, I'm a Saiyan. We're known for our strength and fighting spirit, not for being guardians. The role of God should go to our Yardrian. Soba shook his head, his eyes reflecting a mix of wisdom and pain.
Shira, long ago I was to be Kami, but my desires for power led me down a dark path. I almost destroyed everything I cherished. That true strength lies in protecting and nurturing life, not dominating it.
But I've brought so much turmoil to Yardrat.
And yet, you've also brought hope, strength, and a newfound respect for life. You are more Yardrian, Namekian, human, and Saiyan than anyone else. You are the best of all of us.
Shira could only think of the visions he saw on Namek, the anger he felt when he killed Frieza, and the darkness Babidi tried to control him with. Soba saw the hesitation in Shira.
Take your time, son. This decision is a reflection of your soul, a testament to the journey you've undergone. It's not merely about a role or a title. It's about understanding who you are to your core. Let your heart guide you.
Hopefully, he would have time to gather his thoughts and make a clear decision. And why wouldn't he? Peace has never been clearer in the universe, until one day. Goku sensed a whole planet, thousands, millions of lives being destroyed. Soon after, while Raditz trained at the Kaioshin realm, a bright light shone before him. Raditz was surprised, but the Grand Kai, he happily greeted the duo. Beerus was overjoyed in seeing his old friend, who shared his love for good food. But he had come here with a more serious matter. He had a premonition of the arrival of the Super Saiyan God. Raditz was taken aback. Was there another legend? Beerus spotted the Saiyan. He wasn't the one to defeat Frieza, was he? Raditz smirked, saying no. That was his brother, but if it's a Super Saiyan he wants, he can give him that. Raditz burst into Super Saiyan 2. Beerus yawned. This wasn't it, but it was a cool trick. Raditz didn't appreciate all that, and his hot-headed self swung the Z-Sword against Beerus, with the god's eyes widening as he dodged the strikes.
Hey, careful with that. You don't know what you have.
Beerus blocked one final move with his nail. The Z-Sword snapped in two, with Beerus screaming at Raditz while holding onto Whis. But Beerus didn't die. From behind, the old Kai coughed, happy to finally be out of the sword. All of the other Kais had their mouths open. Beerus face-palmed. So, Shin was the new Kai, huh? After explaining that it was Beerus that locked away the old Kai, he turned back to face Raditz.
You have spirit, I like that, but you're no god. You did mention your brother, however. Where can I find the one who defeated Frieza?
Why should I tell you?
Beerus pointed his hand out at Raditz, keyball in hand. He's in Yardrat, Lord Beerus.
Yardrat, interesting. I wonder if old Soba is still wreaking havoc there.
But please, don't destroy that world. It has been a valuable resource to the universe.
I am a destroyer, Kaioshin. I will do my job.
In a flash, Whis and Beerus disappeared. Raditz was freaking out, and though all the Kais told him to wait, he teleported to Yardrat, attempting to warn Goku. Whis' movement is slower than the instant transmission, as he gets there first. There, he quickly finds Goku meditating at the Yardrat spikes, while Vegeta trained against Soba. But before he could speak, Goku shushed him. He was in complete silence, total focus. His aura was incredible. Raditz couldn't believe it. 18 ran out, asking if his training was going well, but it was clear Raditz was very worried about something. She punched him in the chest, trying to cheer him up. Fighting together always did that, but this time, it seemed more serious. Goku finally exhaled and looked at Raditz. He wasted no time in explaining who was coming. Soba's ears perked up. Beerus, they needed to prepare. Goku wondered what he needed to do, but Soba told him to just train by himself. Everyone else will prepare a feast. An hour later, Beerus and Whis finally arrived, welcomed by a huge feast. Soba approached Beerus as if old friends, but it seemed like neither really liked each other very much. Raditz was confused. Beerus reveals that Soba and himself once battled. In fact, Soba was candidate to be the god of destruction before things went south and he stopped training. Soba didn't like talking about it, especially since Beerus was now stronger than him by a lot. Goku finally arrived, with Soba introducing him to Beerus. Goku tried to be polite. Their handshake sent electric currents between the two. He wanted to see this Saiyan god. Goku is confused. He hasn't heard of anything like that. Perhaps Vegeta knows. Beerus is surprised to hear Vegeta's name. The king was still alive? Vegeta steps up, kneeling in front of Beerus, nervous about what his appearance could mean. The god of destruction was delighted to see the prince. Perhaps he was the god. When he realized that none of them know anything about the Super Saiyan god, Soba intervenes. He tells them all that the feast was ready to start, leading them towards the food, but not before whispering to Goku that he needs to find out more about this. Goku is disappointed since he wanted to eat, but he teleports to Planet Namek. It was the first place he thought to ask. But once there, neither Murray nor Nail knew anything. Murray did warn him not to play around with the destroyer, however. Meanwhile, Beerus and Soba discussed the legend of the Saiyan god. It was eerie that now that Shira and Soba had discussed Goku becoming Kami, that Beerus would show up looking for a Saiyan god. Could Goku have been that professed man? The one his master talked about all those years ago? In fact, Soba's master had been visited by a spirit in his dreams, not dissimilar to that of Beerus, but this spirit told of a legend, as he proclaimed himself to be the spirit of a Saiyan long ago. Soba could only remember the name of Yamoshi. Goku teleported again, but it seemed like every planet he visited had nothing. Then he remembered one last planet, Planet Cereal. It had been many years since he went there and met his old friend Granola, but he remembered him mentioning the Saiyans. As Goku teleported to Cereal, Vegeta and Soba were doing their best to keep Beerus calm. He was never a huge fan of the food on Yardrat, but he was very hungry.
But Soba was always too attached to the silly ideas of Yardrat to take advantage of the god of destruction power. Even his master thought he was wasting this opportunity.
We don't need to speak on this.
Wait, seriously?
How is he anyways? He was god of this world, wasn't he? Or did I hear that you two had a falling out?
Enough!
There was a clear tension between Soba and Beerus. Goku arrived at Cereal, locking onto the key of Granola. The Cerealian was in the middle of eating his meal with Monaito when Goku showed up. Goku was happy to see them both, but Granola's face looked furious. Hey, you guys! It's been a long time. You haven't heard anything about the Saiyans, have you? Without warning, Granola bursts forward against Goku, slamming his fist across his face. But Goku didn't flinch. He just slowly turned his head back with a smirk. You could have just said no. Saiyan, you've come back here to mock us? To finish the job? The scuffle continued as Granola blasted at Goku and out of the house. Monaito tried to stop him, but Granola continued to try and battle Goku. But he didn't have time for this. Before Granola could approach him again, Goku shot out a pair of rings that restricted Granola, Monaito ran out and began to explain things. I don't know what your deal is. We were friends long ago. That was before I knew you were a Saiyan.
Granola, there is something I need to explain.
Monaito went on to explain that Granola was actually saved by a Saiyan from the heaters many years ago. A Saiyan that looked just like this boy. To Granola, this revelation was completely earth-shattering, and he didn't want to believe it until Monaito allowed him to listen to the scouter left behind by a low-class Saiyan, Bardock, who Monaito believed to be the father of this man. The name sounded familiar to Goku, and it made his heart sink. He felt a connection to it, but when Monaito handed over the scouter to allow him to listen to it, Goku hesitated and actually pushed it away. This is a lot, but I already have a father. His name was Pibara. Sorry, but I don't need to listen. At least not now. Thank you. He asked if he knew anything about the Super Saiyan God, which Monaito denied. Goku was disappointed and out of options, but Granola looked at the Saiyan. His father had saved his life, huh? Goku was about to teleport away when Granola stopped him. Wait. I think we can find something out. Then we will be even. My debt to your father, or to the Saiyans, will be paid. Let's get him the Dragon Balls. Following his first encounter against the Saiyan, Granola spent many years trying to find the second Dragon Ball, which had been lost for decades. He planned on using it in case he encountered the Saiyan again. Goku couldn't believe it. Another set of Dragon Balls on planet Cereal? Goku asked the dragon what he knew about the Saiyan God. Torombo explained the legend of the god. Sadly, Goku realized that he didn't have enough Saiyans for the ritual. Vegeta, Nappa, and Raditz were around, and he could easily find Tarble, but they needed one last Saiyan. Granola and Monaito realized how upset Goku looked. His planet must be in real trouble, but Goku buckled up, as he was going to try something extremely difficult. He thanked them all for his help and rose up to the sky. They were wondering what was going on, but his aura sparkled up. Thunder began to strike. He transformed into a Super Saiyan. Goku's idea was simple. If he can grow stronger, then surely his ability to teleport should be better than before too, right? If he survived the explosion of planet Vegeta, then what about other Saiyans? He couldn't sense anything besides the people he already knew at first. It was a vast universe. He realized that even though he didn't know every Saiyan ki out there, he did know what the ki of an Ozaru felt like. He searched and searched, as planet Cereal began to have extremely heavy rains, and his power was even felt on planet Namek. The Saiyan disappeared from sight, then reappeared on a new, desolate planet. He was met by the blinding aura of a man in green. He had a pile of defeated monsters behind him, the result of him gathering food. Goku approached him slowly, waving his hand, but the man was startled. Was he trying to steal his food? In a flash, the Saiyan struck Goku into the side of a mountain. The speed was such that he didn't have time to react. This power was incredible, forcing Goku into Super Saiyan right away, while this man remained in base. There was no doubt about it. It felt like this man contained the power of the Ozaru deep within his soul. But while Goku tried to defend himself, he realized that he didn't seem fully in control. Inside a cave, another man walked out as he heard the commotion, screaming out Broly's name and taking out a small remote. But he was flabbergasted to see not only Broly slowly increasing in power, but another Saiyan. Paragus was about to press the button, but he was once again surprised to see as the other Saiyan stopped Broly with some kind of key ring and just began to speak. Hey, it's alright. I'm not your enemy. I want to help you, but I need your help too. Paragus had never been able to stop Broly in any way other than by shocking him before. His deep connection to nature and ki allowed Goku to calm Broly's aura. By the time he was done, Goku and Broly had introduced themselves. Paragus ran to his son. Goku explained everything. He can help them get a new home if they like, but his planet is in trouble. He needs their help. But while Goku continued to explain, he happened to mention other surviving Saiyans, including Vegeta. The fury inside Paragus' eyes was apparent. Paragus explained that he was banished by the king who feared Broly's power, but Goku placed a hand on his shoulder. Now is his chance to escape. Is he really going to refuse? Paragus just couldn't do it. Goku sighed. Even so, he couldn't leave them here. That's when Broly interrupted. Father, I want to help this man. He's offering us a new home and food. It's the least we can do. Paragus had never seen his son like this. It was a sign of weakness for the Saiyans, but his son was so different as it was, and the way Goku had calmed him down was impressive, perhaps, but he promised that he would take it upon himself to kill the prince one day. Goku was excited and promised that everyone back home was just great. Just one stop along the way. He grabbed onto them both and teleported to planet Tech. There, Goku quickly finds Tarble. The planet had been developing and changing ever since since Goku got rid of Frieza there. Abo and Kado had even turned into farmers. Paragus' head was spinning with anger at the sight of Tarble. He knew the king had a second son. Paragus debated the situation, but the look in his eyes worried Goku, as he realized why he was looking at Tarble like that. Goku explained it to the young prince. Tarble was surprised, but took the chance to tell Paragus that he too was cast away and sent to a far-off planet. King Vegeta had no mercy, not even for his own family. He can help them establish themselves in the universe after all of this. Paragus didn't expect the prince to be so humble. His thirst for revenge lessened. Tarble decided to join, though he knew Beerus was a true monster. The side of planet Yardrat was one of despair when they returned. They were all spread around the battlefield. Beerus was holding Soba by the throat, threatening him. The two had continued to generate tension, and when Beerus kept on bringing up Soba's master's death, it sparked something within the Yardrat, who slammed his fist on the table, spilling Beerus' food. In an instant, Goku cursed and burst into Super Saiyan 2, trying to save his master. Yaki tried to tell him to stop, but Beerus simply avoided him. What Beerus didn't expect was for Broly to also come in and to actually land a hit on the god of destruction. Beerus was completely surprised. Soba fell to his knees, explaining to Goku what happened. Beerus had now promised to destroy Yardrat unless he found this Saiyan god. Beerus was surprised by the new Saiyan. There was an incredible power within him, but this was no Saiyan god. He lacked the intense heat his dream showed. Paragus yelled at Broly to back down, but Goku ran to Paragus and told him that there was no time. This is their chance for the ritual. He explained to them just what it was. Raditz and Tarble were ready to help Kakarot, but Nappa thought this was ridiculous. That's when an intense argument between Paragus and Vegeta instantly broke out. Enough, listen to me. Planet Yardrat has offered each of you a home, but please, this time, help me defend it. All I want is to save my planet. Paragus watched as a giant key ball appeared above Beerus. If Broly and Beerus' battle would continue, things would only get worse. Soba pushed him out of the way, yelling at him to help Kakarot instead. Vegeta, Tarble, Raditz, Broly, Nappa, and Goku joined their hands together. The aura of the Saiyan god sparkled into him. Goku and Beerus were now face to face. Now this was the Super Saiyan god of legend. It was so different for Goku. This ki felt strange. He thought he knew everything about energy and spirit, but now there seems like a whole new world. Even so, his knowledge of ki gave him a slight advantage. Beerus smirked. It was time to begin. The battle between Beerus and Super Saiyan God Goku is a spectacle of cosmic proportions. He showcases many unique Yardrat techniques, beginning with instant transmission, appearing and disappearing so quickly that it seems like he's in multiple places at once. Beerus swings after one of the after images, only to find Goku attacking from a different angle. He then multiplies himself, creating several clones that launch a coordinated assault. Beerus, slightly caught off guard, destroys the clones with a sweep of ki, but Goku uses the moment to land a solid punch. Then he begins to use Force Spirit Fission, dismantling Beerus' energy, but he realizes there's just way too much of it. Vegeta and Raditz wanted more power for themselves, while Broly admires the peaceful and still heart of the Saiyan God. He wished he could do that too. Goku's energy starts to fluctuate. The Super Saiyan God form drains him more than he anticipated. He needs to end the fight quickly, but just as he launches the attack, the red aura flickers and fades. Goku's godly form vanished, leaving him in Super Saiyan, but the determination in his eyes doesn't wane. As Beerus advances, Goku braces himself, leading Beerus through the strange alien constructs of Yardrat. Beerus begins to grow impatient, launching several ki blasts. Goku dodges and weaves, his body moving on instinct. The impact of their fists and shockwaves across the planet. Beerus comments on the heart Goku has, but that he senses a deep darkness within too. Goku just can't keep up in this state. As the struggle rises, the voices of his friends and mentors echo in his mind. Finally, the hopes of Earth, Namek, Yardrat, and Soon fill him with a renewed sense of purpose. As Beerus approaches to deliver one final blow, Goku's eyes snap open, the voices of his friends, Yaki and Hatsuka, pushing him beyond his limits. With a defiant roar, Goku's energy surges into the divine flame of the Super Saiyan God. Beerus stops, surprised by this. Beerus launches one final ki ball full of destructive energy. The Saiyan takes a deep breath, putting his fists out over each other as his aura begins to change into various colors. To the naked eye, they seem like nothing, but to the Yardrans, they could see their valleys, rivers, cities, and more. And not just theirs, but from every planet, creating a double helix. The essence of life. Goku was using pure Genki, the dreams of those who have fallen, the hopes of those who will follow. Suddenly, Goku opened his eyes, rushing forward with the double helix surrounding him. He bursts through the ki ball and into Beerus. The helix envelops itself around the ki ball and even the god. Beerus smirks proudly, almost as if neutralizing the destructive power with the power of life, the Ki Ball dispersed out into the universe. But Beerus wasn't just going to let him win. Beerus dissolves the Helix as Goku falls out of power, and the God of Destruction catches him. As Goku's eyes recover, he looks up to see Beerus and Soba arguing, while 18 and Raditz took care of him. Broly was trying to get them to calm down, but Beerus smirked once he saw Goku awake. He had been a legendary adversary, and he wants to welcome him to train one day, but he believes that Shira has a choice to make. Lord Beerus, Master Soba, I accept. I will become Kami of Yardrat. I want to protect this world for as long as I live. Beerus and Soba smiled.
Well, well, a literal Saiyan god. You are a curious one.
Vegeta scoffed, while the other Saiyans celebrated. Whis intervenes, saying that though his job as guardian will be difficult, he hoped that he would still come to train at Beerus' planet. In fact, Broly and Vegeta both showed incredible promise and were welcome to join too. Raditz had already chosen to take a different path and to train with the old Kai he released. He owed him a favor. Goku chuckled. He was nervous but excited. What would this mean? It didn't really matter, because he knew he could handle it. He could protect them all. But that night was the last night Shira had a good night's rest for a long time, as from then on, nightmares of the Ozaru, the Saiyans, and Frieza filled his dreams, always culminating in the reflection of his face against the waters of planet Yardrat, always ending with an unrelenting urge for battle, always ending with a sinister smile. In the deepest recesses of his heart, Shira could feel a storm brewing. The darkness was coming to swallow the light in a never-ending black abyss. It's been many years since the Saiyan boy Kakarot was sent to Yardrat. Baptized as Shira, he grew stronger with every adventure, undergoing the Namekian trials for the Dragon Balls. His Yardrat training has served him well so far, allowing him to rescue Earth from the androids and Majin Buu. Even helped him save his world from Beerus, the god of destruction, who has a strange connection to his own master, the Yardrat elder, Soba. Now Goku lives peacefully on planet Yardrat, training daily with Raditz, Vegeta, and Broly, even achieving Super Saiyan God and beyond. But his greatest challenge yet is when Soba approached him with a proposition. Would he become Kami of Yardrat? But he's always felt a deep darkness within his soul. His Saiyan nature conflicted with the teachings of Yardrat. He'd been sent away to destroy a planet, and that forever haunts him. Following the battle against Beerus, Goku has begun his preparations to become Kami of Yardrat. This was a very difficult choice for him to make, but he cares and loves this world. If his adoptive planet was willing to trust him and give him this responsibility, then who was he but a humble servant grateful to accept? He's also begun training with Whis, learning little by little about Soba's past, since he was Beerus' rival for a long time. The only thing he's not really willing to talk about is his old master. Either way, Whis is very impressed by Goku's calm heart, so much so that he thinks early on that he could achieve Ultra Instinct, but there is something preventing him from that, something beyond. Though Whis isn't sure, even so progress is made, as Goku achieves Super Saiyan Blue, as does Vegeta. Broly, on the other hand, has been getting training to learn how to control his rage, both on Yardrat and with Whis, making great progress. Meanwhile, Raditz got his potential unlocked and continues to train often at the Kaioshin realm. Him and 18 are expecting a child. Goku has been getting his Kami training, even visiting Kami on Earth to try and understand how it all worked. He has been trying to remove the darkness in his heart, though Kami warns him of what could occur. Goku's a little cocky and thinks he can handle it. Is it cockiness or is it naivete, since Goku believes that righteousness and goodness will always prevail? But Kami continues to warn about the dangers of searching within one's soul. If he wasn't about to be guardian, he would never suggest this for anyone. Even so, Kami trusts Goku, so he allows him to use the Room of Spirit and time to train. While there, he always ends up getting distracted. Sure, it's quiet and empty, but the silence is deafening, anxiety-inducing. The only way for him to calm down is to train, and by the end of it, he just walks out a tiny bit stronger than before. He's gone in there twice now. Nowadays, with all the stresses weighing him down, he prefers to be with Vegeta and Broly at Beerus' planet. Soba is invited from time to time as well, as Soba and Beerus try to at least pretend to be friends. Vegeta did wonder why Soba had struggled so much against the likes of Buu and Frieza if he used to be Beerus' rival. Though he was offended at first, this did spark the fighting spirit within Soba, and slowly began catching up to his students. In reality, his rivalry with Beerus happened thousands, if not millions of years ago. Back then, Beerus himself was a lot weaker, since it was before he became God of Destruction. After Soba nearly destroyed Yardrat, he cut himself off of martial arts Raditz completely, stopping his growth, until a certain Saiyan appeared. And this was life for the Saiyans, celebrating and training as the day of Goku's inauguration drew closer, until a fateful day. After Goku and Vegeta finished their difficult training and returned home, Goku visits Raditz. He had become good friends with his brother at this point, even if they didn't always see eye to eye. Plus, he housed Broly and Paragus nearby and made sure that they were taken care of. Raditz got serious and asked Goku if he was sure about what he was doing, becoming Kami, erasing the darkness within him. Raditz didn't understand that kind of thing, but there was something about his brother that put Raditz at ease. They said goodnight to each other, but Shira didn't go home. Instead, he headed towards the caves, meditating. He had to do it. He had to erase the darkness within his heart, taking a deep breath in the center of the cave where he originally found Soba. He was determined to get this over with once and for all, but the harder he tries, the more it seems to fight back. In his meditation, he sees visions of a dark world, Tails, Ozaru, planets being destroyed and taken over, the thrill of battle mixed with an uncaring nature, his final battle against Frieza, the ultimate choice to kill him, Buu's laughs, and a mirror of himself. Finally, he hears doctors on planet Vegeta saying how, with a power level like that, he will be sent to a weak planet to take over. But those images fade into darkness, as above him, a dark shadow began to form. Goku was snapped back into the wall of the cave, panting heavily. When he opened his eyes, he saw a dark figure whose eyes pierced through his soul. What the hell are you?
I am what you hid from yourself long ago. The nature you tried to push away. The mission instilled in you as a child. You could say, I am your shadow, Shira Black. But you can call me Kakarot.
At that moment, Goku realized he made a mistake. He had foolishly thought that his power was so much greater than Kami's that he could just rid himself of the evil, rather than manifest it as a separate being. Arrogance he was now paying for. He needed to keep him there. Black wasted no time in rushing at Goku and pushing him through the cave wall and into the field of spikes. Those spikes flew everywhere as Black transformed into a Super Saiyan. But Goku realized something. It was like he was missing half of his power. Though he could still access Super Saiyan, it drained him so fast he just couldn't pack the punch he used to. The two clashed in the middle with their Ozaru breakers, shaking the field and tearing it apart. This woke up almost everyone on Yardrat as the planet shook violently. Soon, Vegeta, Raditz, and Soba all made their way to their battle site. Distracted by everyone's arrival, Goku missed his chance to stop Black from rising up to the sky and firing a wave of energy into the city, engulfing it in flame.
Too much of a crowd now. See ya.
Black placed 2 fingers on his forehead and teleported away, leaving behind chaos and flames. Nobody could locate his energy. Now Goku descended down and watched as the flames captured his home once again. Soba placed a hand on his shoulder, walking with him into the fire to put it out. As Vegeta explained that the being's ki felt just like Kakarot's when they fought on Earth, when he was sure that Kakarot could have killed him. The next day, Shira was to be judged by the elders. His initiation into Kami had already begun, but was this the right choice? Soba defended him. But despite the elders having relied on Soba and Shira for what felt like a lifetime, they had now reverted back to their original view of them, a Saiyan and a reject who should have never been trusted.
You may have begun the initiation of Kami, but with the recent events, it's clear that it was a mistake. You are not strong enough. You are no Pibara.
Soba exploded in rage. How dare they use the name of Pibara against Shira? Hasn't he done enough? But he quickly backed down when Shira and Hatsuka restrained him and pleaded with him to stop. Prior to departing, Goku turned to the elders and promised that he would put a stop to this. Goku trained arduously all day at Beerus' planet, though it was a little hard to, with Beerus constantly annoying him and poking fun. Goku realized that the power between himself and Black wasn't that different, but both of them had kept half of the whole power. Thus, Goku fought Vegeta to train, and Vegeta took great joy in being so far above him. But this was a hollow victory. This wasn't the real Goku he knew. He was a husk, a section of what he used to be. Goku explained his mindset. He knew he could never live up to Pibara if he had this deep darkness within him, but it proved to be too much. But Soba intervenes.
That darkness you felt lives within all of us. Though I fear the Yardrat have made you far too fearful of it.
But this was different. It was worse. A thirst for violence and destruction, beyond the fighting I enjoy.
A true Saiyan would take those innate tendencies and use it as fuel. Instead, you've rejected it? Have you really lost your edge, Kakarot?
Soba argued that, with Black being as weak as he is, then surely Vegeta and Broly will be enough to defeat him. But Goku claimed that this was his fault, his responsibility. Even so, the larger universe was at stake. If it took Vegeta to stop a massacre, then he would have to accept it, if only they could find him. In reality, Black had already been to several different planets, bringing about mayhem. Yet, he didn't destroy the worlds themselves, at least not yet. It was like he was just looking for powerful beings to fight against, and nothing else. Every planet he went to, he'd find the strongest man and challenge him, destroying the area in the process, with no care for civilians. But it was more than just that. It was planets Goku had been to before. Planets that saw him as a savior were now being threatened by the same face. On planet Namek, Murray and Nail knew something was going on out there, as Nail trained Piccolo, who now looked like an adult, but there was so much death and destruction they could feel. They couldn't pinpoint who or even where, as the being disappeared just as soon as he appeared. When Goku and the others returned to Yardrat, they found Tarbo there. Planet Tech had been attacked by someone that looked like Goku, though he left the planet intact after fighting Tarbo, Abo, and Kado. He came here to request help from Vegeta and attacked Goku when he saw him, until he was finally calmed down. I don't understand this, but if that man was your doing, then why aren't you out there trying to stop him?
Kakarot has a lot of sins to answer for, but that doesn't discount what he's done for all of you. He's a proud Saiyan warrior. Don't you think we've been trying?
He explains that he's tried to locate him, as he did have the sharpest key location skills around. But it seems like his evil half knows that, and hides his power every time he senses someone looking for him. Suddenly, Raditz lands on the table, battered and beat. He was holding onto the South Kaioshin and the Old Kai. As it turns out, Raditz knew what Black was doing, and had been following his movements thanks to the Galactic Patrol and the Kaioshin. He tried to solve this on his own. He had seen the way this was affecting Kakarot, and he wanted that weight off of his shoulders. But this was a mistake. As they healed him, Raditz explained. He had gone to confront Black a couple of times, once on planet Zune, where he desecrated the tomb of Pui Pui. Raditz had done quite a number on him, but he ultimately escaped. Shin and the others helped rebuild. The Grand Kaioshin even believed that Raditz could in fact defeat Black. The reason they were able to locate him was thanks to the Old Kai's crystal ball. Finding him again at one of Frieza's old planets, full of hedgehog-like beings. Raditz teleported in with Shin, Kibito, and the South Kai. This gave the civilians time to escape with their own portal techniques, as Raditz valiantly fought against Black. But it was clear that his power was increasing. They were near equals now, but Black had one advantage. He wasn't defending anyone. Black rushed in to attack Shin, and Kibito jumped in the way to defend him. Kibito was pierced through the stomach with a keyblade, but this was a fruitless sacrifice, as the blade reached Shin. The South Kaioshin screamed out in pain. Raditz tried to heal Shin, but it was too late. It was gone. That's when Soba jumped to his feet. The Kaioshin was dead? That meant everyone stayed quiet, going pale. Goku placed 2 fingers on his forehead, looking for Beerus' planet, but it was empty. Soba screamed out and punched the table, destroying the entire house in the process. Raditz apologized. He couldn't save him. Goku stood up. It was all his fault. Broly meekly asked how they would find him. They can't locate him no matter what they try. That's when Raditz continued the story. He grabbed the South Kaioshin and teleported to the realm of the gods. The Old Kai and the Grand Kai were freaking out. With no Kaioshin, there would be no god of destruction, and the universe would fall into complete chaos. As they discussed their options, and how they needed to find Vegeta and Broly to stop Black, they heard the sound of teleportation once again. Turning around to see Black, Raditz burst towards him and attacked, but his power was just not enough. But he had to avenge Shin and Kibito. He needed to protect the universe and his family. That's when he felt the hand of the Grand Kai grab him and throw him back, telling him to run. Raditz teleported himself and the other 2 to Yardrat. The Grand Kaioshin gather all of the energy onto himself and explode. His final moments were smiling at Black and telling him that this darkness within can never put out the light that he knew Shira represented. The Kaioshin realm was no more, but a piece of floating rubble. Black was hurt, but not dead. He was only getting stronger. There are so many powerful beings out there. I'm really starting to get excited. Goku, back at Yardrat, fell to his knees. He felt more lives being lost, more pain, more suffering. They needed to end this now, but now they couldn't even train with Beerus and Whis. Without any more words, all of the Saiyans stepped out and began training on their own. But Soba stayed inside. If Beerus was dead, then Whis was in a state of slumber with the Grand Priest. They couldn't rely on the gods anymore. But he felt someone touch his shoulder, Raditz. No, we can't. But it doesn't mean they've abandoned us. I have an idea. Soon enough, Raditz had teleported the Saiyans over to the Galactic Patrol HQ. The Old Kai and the South Kai were left on Yardrat, where they were to warn them in case anything happened. Goku was depressed, upset. He didn't care about the patrollers. He needed to get back to training. Jakku was a little scared of Goku, but the Saiyan was actually glad to see him. Quite a band of warriors. I may not be able to guarantee a victory, but I promise, I'll do my best. Follow me. Goku had trained with Miras previously and made great advancements, but he wasn't sure if this is what he needed. That all changed when they arrived at the Galactic Patrol time chamber. One day outside is 3 days inside, so it's not nearly as impressive as the one on Earth. But the point is to freely train these Saiyans. He will need a lot of cooperation. Goku still isn't sure, but he knows he can't go back to the Earth time chamber, and training all together here is going to be better. Broly is the one that needs the most work, as his power was still unpredictable. Thankfully, the only time he had exploded before was at Beerus' planet, so Whis had helped him gain control ever since. But it was Soba's teachings that really helped calm him down. Soba knew all about uncontrollable rage and power, but he also knew about life, spirit, and peace. Admittedly, thanks to Shira. Soba asked Raditz. Previously, he had said that gods hadn't abandoned them. What did he mean by that? For an old master, you sure don't pay attention at times. Haven't you noticed? Soba looked at Miras, and soon it became clear. He was an angel, and in this case, their guardian angel. Miras instructed him like before, as he saw in Goku something special, but over and over, he was knocked to the ground.
Is that all you've got, Kakarot? Where's your spirit? Your Saiyan pride. I won't allow you to give up, you hear me? Because I need to defeat you at your best.
This encouragement made something spark within Goku, what Vegeta had mentioned before, his innate Saiyan desires. They weren't his enemy, they were the drive that pushed him to be stronger in order to save those he loves. You're right, everything I need to win is still in me. He may have my face, but I've kept my willpower. In that moment, Goku's aura sparked open as Miras smirked, and everyone else looked on. Super Saiyan Blue had been unlocked once again. Finally, progress was being made. Goku was getting back up there, and for a few days, no one heard of Black. The Saiyans had grown exponentially stronger than before. In fact, Miras was sure that Goku was on the verge of something even greater. But as they were about to continue the fight, Miras got a telepathic call. The Old Kai was trying to reach them. According to him, a young Namekian had been trying to reach Shira, afraid that something terrible had occurred. That Piccolo boy had died. A cold chill fell down Goku's spine. Him and Nail had trained with him regularly, and Nail was very fond of that boy. Miras thought it was best to continue training, but Goku insisted that he needed to pay a visit to Nail. Vegeta, Soba, and Tarbell returned to planet Yardrat, while Goku, Broly, and Raditz went to visit Nail. Broly liked being with Goku and Raditz. They were a lot nicer than Soba and Vegeta. It was a somber day on Namek, but they were already gathering the Dragon Balls to revive Piccolo. Nail and Shira nodded, finding solace in each other. Goku wondered if this had something to do with Black, and with that, Nail finally understood why they felt so many lives being lost across the universe. Suddenly, however, Raditz's communicator began to ring out. They had received a call from Earth. It was being attacked by Black. They told Broly to stay on Namek for now. Even though he insisted that he could control himself, they couldn't risk a planet which had just been rebuilt to be destroyed again. Nail agreed to come along. He needed to get his mind off of things. And so, Nail, Raditz, and Goku arrived at the sacred lands of Korin. They had already been scorched. Goku was shot on the arm, though he avoided it swiftly. He turned to see Bulma on her mech. It took a bit to calm her down and convince her that it really wasn't him who did it. She told them that a man with the same face as Goku attacked as he searched the world for the strongest martial artist. Bulma told Goku how she had collected the Dragon Balls when they were suddenly turned to stone. Goku's heart sank and realized what happened, rushing up to Kami's lookout to see nothing but death and destruction. Popo's and Kami's body laid on the floor. He realized then that it was because of Black that Piccolo had died. The link between the two Namekians remained, but Goku had another realization. He ran towards the Room of Spirit and Time, only to find it destroyed. Goku arrived at the mountainside, where the old Grandpa Gohan was commanding the charge against Black. 17, 16, Krillin, Yamcha, and just a few others remained. But as Goku descended, he told them that it would all be okay. 17 wasn't sure at first, but 16 recognized him. This was the real Shira.
I'm just trying to have a good time here, and you're raining on my parade.
This ends now. I'm not going to forgive you for what you did. 16, take everyone and get far away.
With your power level, you won't serve as anything but debris.
It took a long time to regain this form, but he had achieved it in the time chamber.
I don't care for this color, but this is what true power feels like.
Super Saiyan Blue.
Too bad that old Namekian had to suffer.
Goku roared, the sound of an Ozaru overwhelming the area, and a deep blue aura swirled around his body. Black cocked an eyebrow. He had no idea that Goku himself had reawakened the training. I've gotten a lot stronger since the last time we met.
Yeah, I know.
The two instantly clashed overhead before Raditz and Nail arrived to lend support. They were doing well, as 16 and 17 returned to fire blast and cover Goku. It was clear that despite their training, Black was still close to Shira. Over time, however, he began to slow down. He was actually being driven back. As Nail rushed in to attack, he suddenly stopped, his head spinning as Black got the chance to throw him to the ground. Goku asked if he was okay, but Nail looked up at him in pain and anger. Goku focused, as he felt it too. Namek. So you finally noticed. Raditz, can you take it from here? Right. Nail turned back to Black and promised to kill him as Goku grabbed him and teleported to Namek. The world was in disarray. Namekians had fled off to the other side of the world, as over the Grand Elder's home battled Broly and Black. Broly kept control as much as he could as Super Saiyan, but the world was suffering. Even so, Broly was winning. It was as if Black was enjoying fighting Broly more than he did trying to win this fight. Goku rushed in to support his friend. I'm not sure what's going on, but we have to win. His aura pushed them back as he finally decided to step it up a notch. It took a long time to regain this form, and even longer to push it beyond, but he had achieved it while in that chamber. I don't care for this color, but this is what true power feels like. Goku's heart sank. He thought he had advanced beyond blue. He thought his new strength would be enough, but now seeing Black, his aura, a mix of black and blue, showed that the darkness Black possessed had not only corrupted the form, but helped him push past its limits. Still, Goku had to trust his training. He still had something under his sleeve. Goku was taken aback, but he also smirked. Black wasn't the only one to discover something else. Goku's blue aura deepens, revealing Super Saiyan Blue Evolution. The two halves were clashing fists, the Grand Elder's home falling apart in the distance. Broly and Goku's teamwork was able to really push back Black, but the evildoer had two advantages. He knew exactly how to counter Goku, and tried to anger Broly by mocking him, his father, and Ba, to the point where Broly began to get desperate and burst through Goku in order to attack Black. Nail jumped in to try and calm down Broly, while Goku got a hold of himself. Suddenly, his heart sank. He could feel something calling for him, trying to get his attention. He couldn't concentrate with the anger he felt, but whoever was trying to reach him was using all of his might. Finally, the voice of Soba reached him. Instantly, Goku shut up, his eyes meeting with Black. Too focused on saving others, you forgot about that dump. Goku looked at Nail, who told him to go. They will try to hold this guy back. Broly promised to calm himself down and control the power, though he was clearly struggling. Goku apologized for leaving as he teleported to planet Yardrat. The planet was unrecognizable, as a chunk of the world was now just floating debris in space. The main city was in ruins once more, and he could feel faint life from all those around. Nappa laid on the floor, surrounded by dead Cybermen. Tarbo seemed to be one of the few in the best condition, as he gathered everyone at a location away from the fight. Hatsuka and Yaki were focused on helping those they could. Finally, Vegeta and Soba were battling against Black, but Vegeta wasn't in Super Saiyan Blue. He was instead in just regular Super Saiyan. Goku lifted a building, saving the Yardrat elders and some civilians. They scurried away before he turned to Yaki and Hatsuka, telling them to teleport survivors away to Planet Cereal for now. The first place that came to his mind, to have every capable Yardrat go to Planet Namek and teleport them to Cereal as well. They were in trouble too. Shira, what are you going to do? The connection him and I have is one that I alone can sever. I'm going to end this. Goku rushed towards the battle, landing a clean punch on Black's face, as Soba's eyes lit up with hope for a split second, only for Black to grab Goku's arm and throw him against Vegeta. Vegeta commented on how it was about time he got there, with Goku realizing what was going on. The other beings he fought were mere clones of the real deal. Judging by the incredible power this Black had, he was the real deal. I thought you'd be able to recognize a Yardrat clone easier than that. I guess your senses really took a hit when we split. Black appeared before Goku and fired a blast at his stomach, sending him hurling back, as the villain grabbed onto Vegeta's throat. So that's why Vegeta was in Super Saiyan instead of Blue. Black was stealing his energy. He was using Force Spirit Fission. Goku should have known. All those Yardrat abilities he'd mastered over the years were now part of Black's arsenal too. Suddenly, from behind, Shira sensed an immense amount of pressure pressure gathering, as Soba had raised 2 fingers up, collecting energy from everything around them. As he was about to fire at Black and Vegeta, Goku rushed in, firing a small blast at Black's arm, forcing him to release Vegeta, grabbing him and jumping out of the way, as a ginormous blast sucked in all of the sound and released it back out, as the wave of ki that once long ago threatened to destroy planet Yardrat. Goku's eyes widened. At the very last second, he saw Black place 2 fingers on his forehead and teleport behind Soba. Sorry, Master. A Keyblade burst through the back of Soba. Goku screamed out a pained no, with tears running through his face. Tarbell and Hatsuka helped out. The monster shrunk down to avoid them, rising again to grab them by the neck. Upon seeing his brother like this, Vegeta mustered the energy to achieve Super Saiyan God just for a second, rushing at Black and pushing him away, yelling at Tarbell and Hatsuka to leave Yardrat as Goku told them. But Hatsuka remained in place, by Soba's side. Hatsuka was able to stabilize him by healing him.
Shira, Hatsuka, my boys, do not fear. You have given this old hermit the strength to fight again.
Don't talk like that.
You two need to leave. Escape. Get stronger. Yardrat may have fallen today, but it is your strength that will keep it alive.
No, we can't leave our home.
You two have taught me I still have something worth fighting for. My old master, Suppu, he was the old god of destruction. Beerus has far surpassed him in power now, but back then, he was what we strived for. I thought it was ridiculous back then. He gave that position up. All the glory, all the power, because he was tired of destruction. For once, he wanted to save something. Beerus was stronger, more gifted. He didn't care about our master, but he was better suited for the role. I was the strongest of our society here in Yardrat, but I never fit in. I wanted more. I wanted more power, but I was sworn to the Yardrat rules and code. Beerus had this as an advantage. He was ruthless in our final battle for that role. In our struggle, I teleported all over the universe. When I knew I was going to lose, I instinctively landed here, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Pibara and the elders pleaded with me, but I gave up all my ideals, all ties to Yardrat, to try and obtain the role of God of Destruction. Suppu watched the battles. He said that it was enough, that this final fight shouldn't be taking place on inhabited worlds, that we weren't God of Destructions yet, that it wasn't our right to choose who lives or dies. But back then, I saw that as a weakness. I was forgetting everything our world represented. I wanted to impress my master, prove that he was weak for giving all of this up. In my anger, I had a clean shot, and I took it. Despite the warnings from Pibara, I unleashed a blast that destroyed and destabilized most of Yardrat. My own home world turned to ash. I thought I won, but at what cost? Beerus appeared between the clouds. I had placed everything in that attack. I gave it all up, but I had failed. Our old master and many others were caught in that explosion. He was disappointed in me and never saw me the same way again. I was left a broken man in a world that hated me, feared me, and yet respected me. Pibara understood the pressure, the seduction of power. He allowed me to retreat into a cave. Despite what I had done, my master never left my side, and I never left his. Perhaps to make up for what I had done, I took care of this old hermit until his death. It was a peaceful life, but Suppu passed away one night after telling me of a dream, a premonition he had. One of a Saiyan engulfed in fire, who appeared to him in a dream. One final dream before he took his last breath. I lost it all that night, until you two stepped into my house many years later. Shira, you only wanted what was best for Yardrat, for the universe, for life. You didn't crave power as I had. Son, forgive yourself. It's the only way you can win this fight. Remember that. We all have a side of us we'd like to push away, but it is a part of what makes us, us.
Soba's eyes slowly blanked out. He wasn't dead. Not yet, but he would be soon. Goku's tears mixed with his aura as he stood up. He whispered to Hatsuka to leave now. Tarbell laid on the ground defeated, while Vegeta continued to try, but before Black could even react, Goku appeared before him and punched him in the jaw. Vegeta tried to say something, but Goku ignored him, as instead Hatsuka grabbed him and teleported cereal. There, Namekians and Yardrats looked terrified, as Granola and Monaito tried to pass around food and supplies to the injured. Neither of them expected this, but they couldn't just say no. Especially when other civilians from Planet Cereal brought provisions to help. Everyone gathered around the old Kai's crystal ball, watching the fight. Granola walked up to Vegeta and Tarble, looking at them with disdain, but the deep sadness in Tarble made him realize that at this moment they weren't Saiyan conquerors, they were broken people. Nappa, Paragus, and many others were nursed back to health. Soba was still unconscious, clinging to life. Planet Namek struggled under the pressure of the fight, though Broly and Nail seemed to finally push Black into submission for a split second before he simply dissipated into nothingness. While on Earth, Raditz kept everyone safe. He was going to be arrested, but as soon as the Galactic Patrol appeared, he disintegrated as well. Raditz realized what just happened. He tried to teleport to planet Yardrat once he realized that Goku must be there, but he couldn't. Hatsuka noticed this too. Goku and Black were preventing everyone from teleporting in. Goku and Black clashed in a furious exchange of blows and energy blasts. They teleported all over the battlefield, fighting within the instant transmission dimension itself. Goku summoned all his strength, morphing into his giant form and slamming a colossal fist into Black. But the dark figure countered with a similar form. They eventually returned to normal size, creating clones that filled the battlefield and attacked each other. Goku's shining blue aura became a blur, dodging and countering with a barrage of his own. The two warriors continued to use Force Spirit Vision upon one another. The sheer force of their conflict became a magnetic pull for Genki across the universe, drawing energy like a dark storm. Unbeknownst to them, the dark energy created began to spread. Despite his desperation-fueled attacks, he realized that there was only one way to end this. Others had died for his actions. This was the only way. With a final surge of energy, Goku launched himself, aiming for the planet's core. Black realized Goku's intent and followed with a burst of speed. "You're not escaping me that easily." Goku and Black sped towards the core, their ki creating a blinding trail of light and darkness. When they reached the core, Goku unleashed a powerful blast, creating a pathway to the planet's heart. He dove in, with Black right behind him, clawing at his legs and dragging him back. "That's right, Shira. Destruction. Etch your mark in this pathetic planet and claim it as your own. This ends here." Goku twisted free, summoning every ounce of his strength. "No, this ends with you." He propelled himself deeper into the core, the intense heat and pressure threatening to consume him. Black launched after him as Goku spun and delivered a devastating kick, sending Black reeling. With tears in his eyes, Goku looked at his beloved planet one last time from within. "I'm sorry," he whispered, before channeling all his remaining energy into a final Ozaru breaker. He burst through the core, transforming himself into a living missile. Black's eyes widened and tried to escape, but it was too late. The core ignited into a brilliant explosion, consuming both Goku and Black in a blinding flash of light, fragments of Yardrat scattering across the universe. On Cereal, the warriors watched in stunned silence as the sky lit up with the remnants of Yardrat. The loss was profound, but so was the heroism at display. Vegeta fell to his knees, reality sinking in. Raditz clenched his fist, tears mingling with the dirt on his face. Broly howled, as those whose lives Shira had touched allowed tears to flow. Granola turned away and cursed. He couldn't allow himself to feel bad for a Saiyan. "My brother is gone." This caught Monaito's attention, who asked if he heard that right. He was that boy's brother? Monaito returned with an old and beaten scouter, one which Raditz recognized immediately. He clicked the scouter on and listened for his father's voice, only for a few seconds before stopping it. His voice was just like Kakarot's, but he couldn't do this without him. As a tear fell down his cheek, Raditz sat down and thought of what they needed to do. The universe was safe for now, but he had lost a brother, and the universe had lost its greatest hero. Murray then stood up, saying that they weren't out of the woods yet. It seemed like the fight between the Gokus had created some sort of energy center that is spreading. Everyone closed their eyes to sense for Yardrat, and realized that yes, Genki was being sucked out of life all around it, but there was still hope yet, as a bright light shone and dimmed on Shira's eyes. He found himself standing in a large building, in front of a giant mahogany desk.
Sacrificing yourself to bring down your other half is what a brave thing to do, my boy.
Shira's breath was taken away, as he slowly turned around to see none other then Pibara. In an instant, Goku ran to hug his older master. It had been many, many years since they saw each other. The booming voice of King Yama spoke, saying to hurry things along. He's only doing this as a favor to Pibara. Pibara explained he was in Otherworld, but unlike most souls here, he has been given a chance to keep his body, recognized as a great hero. As for Black, since they shared a linked soul, only Goku himself passed on to the Otherworld. Pibara praised his son for his bravery, but Goku said that in reality he had failed. He wanted so badly to push away his Saiyan side that he endangered all of the universe. But Goku felt a hard punch on his arm, turning to see none other than Pui. Come on, the Shira I know would never talk this way. Goku gasped. Pui himself had gotten a chance to keep his body, having become a great champion for justice on his planet. He was happy to see his friend having grown so strong, but nothing they said could cure his pain.
Doesn't he remind you of him when he was young, Pibara?
A cloaked man with an intense aura descended before the group. You're...
An Namekian. Surprised? I am the god of destruction from a generation ago. My name is Suppu. I was Beerus and Soba's master.
Shira couldn't believe what he was seeing.
Soba was once like you, a brave Yardrat who held onto the beliefs we taught him tightly.
But he never quite belonged. He was a warrior in a world with no wars. He resented the teachings of Yardrat, which kept him from being who he was. This proved to be his undoing.
Why are you telling me all of this?
Because you and Soba are similar. He pushed away the peacefulness of Yardrat for the sake of power and battle, while you pushed away your Saiyan nature, the strength, and the yearning for a fight.
Goku looked down at the ground. Had he been a fool? We don't get to pick and choose parts of ourselves, my friend. We're the sum of all of our experiences, our genes, our losses, our victories. It's what makes us... us.
While we Yardrat may have given you your sense of justice, it is your Saiyan nature, your desire to surpass yourself over and over again, that helped achieve that justice. It is the choices you made in your journey that matter, not what you could have been.
Shira felt a surge within himself. Suddenly, all of those nightmares he had about the Ozaru, the Saiyans, they all came rushing in. The strength of the Ozaru within has helped him countless times. The joy of fighting Frieza wasn't one out of a desire to kill him, but a wish to surpass his strongest foe yet and to defend those he loves. The part of him that Babidi tried to manipulate wasn't inherently evil. Goku had just labeled it as such, but there was something that still tortured him. The voice of the scientist claiming that he be sent away to destroy a planet. He had done that, hadn't he? He destroyed Yardrat.
Black may be gone, but his darkness threatens to overtake the universe. You must make a choice, and I can help you defeat him.
I can't just return to life.
It is true that life and death are both sacred, but if they are one continuous stream, the line between the living and the dead is blurred. If you must defy nature once in order to protect nature itself, then so be it.
Goku took a deep breath and nodded. Then it's settled. I have a friend who can help us out. As the Z fighters on Planet Serial discuss their next move, the old Kai warns that without a proper sitting Kaioshin and a god of destruction, then the universe will fall into utter chaos. Suddenly, the voice of Goku sounded off in their mind. Everyone freaked out, but Broly cheered loudly for his friend.
Kakarot, where?
Hey Vegeta, everyone. I think I know what I need to do. I have an idea on how to stop that darkness from spreading, but I have to warn you. If you're willing to revive me, Black will come back too. But don't worry, I can stop him. I know I can. I also know how we can bring back Shin and Beerus.
But how are you talking to us?
Yeah, well, Pui has some powerful friends here. We cut to see everyone in other worlds surrounding King Kai. As Goku talks through him, he's clearly annoyed as he just thought Pui was coming back in order to continue his training, but no, he brought guests. Everyone there had been saved or touched by the Saiyan in one way or the other. They didn't want him gone. Those descending voices were slowly silenced by the ones that believed in Goku. The Namekian civilians returned to Namek. It was still in ruin, but it would be fixed soon. Raditz teleported to Earth in order to find Bulma. She had previously collected all the Dragon Balls again, and though they were now stone, they were still grouped together. Finally, most of the fighters remained on planet Serial, where we see as Granola holds Bulma's Dragon Radar, provided by her, having just found the 2 Cerealian Dragon Balls. The Namekian Dragon Balls were used to restore the planets brought to ruin by Black, Namek, Earth, Yardrat, and many others. Then, everyone killed by Black was brought back. Piccolo reappeared on Namek, where Nail welcomed him back. Kaioshin and Kibito returned as well, with Beerus waking up on his planet. Kami was also revived, with the Earth's Dragon Balls reactivating. At once, Granola summoned Torombo, and Bulma summoned Shenron. For the first time in history, 3 eternal dragons darkened the sky in their respective worlds at the same time. They all had one wish left. Go and belt him one for me.
Remember what I taught you, and remind Soba what you are all fighting for.
My son, I'm glad I was able to see you one last time. We shall meet again, but before then, I'm glad I get to say this to you in person and welcome you as the new Kami of Yardrat.
Goku's eyes widened. He didn't even know that Pibara knew about this, and as Pibara placed a hand on his head, Goku felt something change within him.
There are an infinite number of lives we could have led, many more where we could have never met, but I'm glad that in this one, I could call you my son.
Get a move on.
Right. First, Goku was revived using the Namekian Dragon Balls. He smiled at his friends, placing 2 fingers on his forehead and teleporting to planet Cereal. Meanwhile, Goku Black reappeared on Yardrat. He was confused. Those he had killed were once again alive. He just thought to himself that he had to kill them again. But as he rushed to strike the first Yardrat, he saw him disappear. In reality, the wish made on the Earth's Dragon Balls was to teleport all the fighters willing to help Goku out during this final battle over to planet Cereal. The dragon's voice echoed in their mind, and those who accepted were teleported in. They all stood before Goku, Piccolo, Nail, Vegeta, Raditz, Nappa, Soba, Yaki, Hatsuka, Tarbo, Abo, Kado, Bulma, Krillin, 17, 18, 16, members of the Galactic Patrol, and some he didn't even recognize. They were all here for this last battle. When Goku returned to life and reappeared on planet Cereal, Soba had finally recovered. He walked up to welcome his student, and as they met glances, Soba knew something had changed. Shira could do it.
Welcome back, boy.
I'm glad to be back. Raditz tried to convince 18 to stay behind, that she's pregnant and they can't risk her safety, but she knew she could handle it, especially with 17 and 16 around. She couldn't be convinced otherwise, but he loved her for that. Goku thanked them all and apologized for the troubles he's caused. There was still one final wish to be made. The old Kai brought up a secret weapon, a pair of Potara earrings. If they wanted to end this fight fast and safe, then this was the best bet. Raditz told Goku to wait. He grabbed the scouter from Monaito and ran over to his brother. Goku didn't want to listen at first, but he finally accepted, remembering what those in other worlds said. As soon as he heard Bardock's voice, a shiver fell down Goku's spine. He could hear his father fighting Gas, a member of the Heaters, which Goku himself arrested many years ago. It was clear that he was trying to defend someone, a young Granola. Goku glanced at him, but what really took him back was one of the final lines recorded by the scouter. "What's this all about anyways? Are you making a wish on a shooting star or something? But sure, I'd wish that my sons grew up thriving." Everything else was inconsequential. This was all Shira needed to hear. He had a father in Pibara, yes, but he also had a father in Bardock. A Saiyan that, at least in the end of his life, chose to save something rather than destroy it. Finally, the last bit of his blurry memories came to light. The Frieza Force scientists saying that he'd be sent away to destroy a planet were replaced by 2 Saiyans sending him away, telling him to survive. This was the key for him to let go of all his doubts and fears. He wasn't sent away to kill, he was sent away to be saved, to live. He was a Saiyan, he was a Yardrian, but above all, he was hope. He now understood himself more than ever, and understood that Black was indeed a part of him. Goku shook Raditz's hand, before turning to the others. It was time to move. Just then, they heard a bright light blasted down. Beerus and Whis. Beerus ran at Goku and pinned him against the wall, Hakai ready to destroy him. Raditz tried to get him off, but Beerus simply flicked him away. Soba argued for him, but Beerus was livid. How could he let a monster like that free? Shin argued that it wasn't his fault, but Beerus told him to shut up or he'll be sealed away in a sword too. But Goku spoke. "Suppu, he gave me an idea on how to stop him. I can settle this."
My master, but how did you? You died too, didn't you? Why should I let you?
"Because I can be stronger. I can be better. Wouldn't it be a waste to kill me now? Don't you want a rematch?" Beerus took a second, but he let go of Goku as he stared him down.
Spoken like a damn Saiyan, alright. If you fail now, I will kill you myself.
Beerus was still angry, yelling at Shin to leave now and stay in the Kaioshin realm. He will be watching the battles. Vegeta was surprised at Goku's response. It was clear that despite trying to push away everything that once made him a Saiyan, he was finally accepting who he was. For once, he understood Kakarot. At that moment, Goku Black teleported in.
Ready for round 2?
No, I'm ready to bring you back.
Dragon, teleport the fighters to planet Vampa.
What?
The barren landscape and eerie silence make it a perfect battleground. As the dust settles on Vampa, Shira steps forward, a determined look on his eyes. Black stares at him and the army. Now this would be a fun fight. Black transforms into Super Saiyan Blue, while Shira takes a deep breath, feeling a profound change stirring within him. His aura begins to shift, glowing with a soft, radiant light. The sky darkens momentarily as the atmosphere is charged with divine energy. His hair, once the striking blue of Super Saiyan, starts to change. A wave of pink sweeps over it, transforming into the ethereal hue of Super Saiyan Rosé. His entire being emanates a serene yet powerful energy, like an angel descending. The transformation was not just a change in power, it signified Shira's rebirth. Now, he was the new Kami of Yardrat, initiated by Pibara. His godly status had altered his very essence, turning his Super Saiyan Blue into this. Black smirks. I like that color better. Without wasting any time, Black begins to divide himself, creating numerous clones to keep heroes at bay. The battlefield erupts into chaos instantly, as everyone attacks from all directions. Nappa commands the army of Cybermen and Space Worms, charging forward with fierce determination, as the new versions of many Cybermen melt together into one single Cyber King. Nail and Piccolo lead the mutated Namekians. The Galactic Patrol, led by Miras, joins in the fray, while Bulma pilots her mech across the battlefield, providing aerial support, while the human Z-fighters protect those they can. Even Grandpa Gohan, despite his age, fights with the wisdom and experience of a seasoned warrior. Granola uses his precise marksmanship to take out as many clones as he can, while Broly maintains control over his intense power. He knows this is Shira's battle, but his support is unwavering. Broly manages to lead one of the clones into the mouth of a Vampa beast, recognizing it as his old friend, Ba. The monster roared loudly as Broly whispered that this fight was for him, lowering himself down as the monster freaked out, but reaching out with the knowledge he's been taught on Yardrat and healing Ba's ear. As the battle rages on, Black begins to feel the pressure, slowly but surely being pushed back. In a desperate move, Black explodes his ki. Black decides to step it up a notch, his body swelling and expanding into his giant form, as Shira follows suit, colliding in a thunderous impact. Each punch, each kick sends ripples through the air. Vegeta and Raditz seize the opportunity to attack Black from below, targeting his legs, aiming to bring down the giant form, as the Cyber King with a mighty roar clamps its jaws into Black's leg. But Goku Black begins to unleash his Force Spirit Fission. The energy wave pulses through the Cyber King, splitting the fusion of the Cybermen back into their individual forms, as other fighters feel their energy being drained away. Even in this empty planet, Black could still find ways to take their energy. Goku knew that the way he was now, he just couldn't outpace the Spirit Fission of Black. They were far too even, and would create another negative energy center like Yardrat. Goku knew there was only one way to overcome this evil half, by gaining a new one. He needed to fuse. Seizing the opportunity, he tosses the Potara at his brother, but as Raditz reaches out, he's suddenly stabbed through the chest by one of Black's energy attacks. He had sent out a clone specifically to stop Raditz. The Broly was now beating him into the ground. The Potara fell from Raditz's hand, a tense silence gripping the battlefield as he collapses, clutching his wound. But the Potara rolled over to the feet of none other than Vegeta. Though he hates the idea of fusion, he understands the dire struggle Shira and the universe were facing. He places the Potara on his right ear. A brilliant flash of light envelops Vegeta and Shira as they fuse into Vegeto, the newly formed warrior, a perfect blend of both Goku's optimism and Vegeta's ferocity. His aura and hair shimmering a rosé and blue color. Goku Black's expression hardened as he recognized the threat. The epic clash between Black and Vegeta begins, shaking the foundation of the world. Their fists collide with enough energy to create shockwaves. Vegeta understands Goku Black more deeply than anyone. In essence, he represented two extremes, the Saiyan Prince and the Yardrat Savior. The two sides Goku now so desperately wanted to unite as one. He was the perfect warrior to make Black see a balance of the two. but Goku Black found enjoyment in this, not realizing that Vegeta was subtly spirit fissioning out his own power. Vegeta's ability had far surpassed Black's, allowing him to outspeed Black's for spirit fission. Despite the intensity of the battles, Vegeta remained cocky. He mocks Black by using clones and firing party poppers instead of real energy attacks, just to scare him, all part of the plan. But Goku Black refuses to give up, rushing Vegeta's way only to be blasted through the chest by a spirit sword. It seemed like they could have won right there, but in a crazy moment, Black used all of his Yardrat healing abilities to heal himself as he walked through the sword, reaching Vegeta and placing his hands on his head, attempting to split the fusion apart with force spirit fission. But as the crowd goes silent and Soba calls out his name, Vegeta's eyes sparkle silver for a moment, and the next thing Black sees is Vegeta behind him, holding onto the energy stolen from Black. The evil Saiyan couldn't even perceive Vegeta escaping his grasp. Miras could hardly believe his eyes. He had been trying to get Goku to achieve that technique for a while, but it wasn't until he accepted a Saiyan as part of himself that he could do it. Beerus and Whis were watching from outer space as the god of destruction smirked. It was a good thing he didn't kill Shira. It would have truly been a waste.
Looks like you're training dead stick, huh, Whis?
But as soon as they achieved that form, it left his body, though it did allow him to siphon out even more energy from Black and blast him into the side of a mountain. His ki was so low that they could barely sense it now, but Black screamed out. The roar of the Ozaru shook the planet. The last thing he had was those Saiyan tendencies. He could muster up one final move.
Give me one final shot. Give me your strongest attack, or I'll never forgive you.
It was clear that he was losing it. Gathering the last remnants of his energy, Black fires one final Ozaru breaker. Vegeta, with a sigh, responds by pointing two fingers out. Soba recognizes the move instantly as his own and shouts at the fusion to stop, but Vegeta smiles back, telling him to trust him. Pouring all of the stolen energy into the tip of his fingers, Vegeta fires back a blast that sucks out all the sound before exploding outwards in a single point. As the blast completely consumes Goku Black, but leaves the planet untouched. Soba watches with pride. The fusion undoes itself, with Goku thanking the prince. Vegeta nods, a rare smile crossing his face. The two Saiyans had reached an understanding. Was it truly over? While Goku Black laid on the ground, defeated and nearly immobilized, he struggled to breathe, his eyes blazing with unquenchable thirst for battle. Goku approaches him. It would be a waste to end it like this. You want to fight on, don't you? Find stronger opponents? Beerus himself said he wanted a rematch. We can do that together. We can pursue that dream. We're two sides of the same coin. No. My thirst for battle can never live with your peaceful nature. You're wrong. I can feel the urge to fight. The excitement I felt while fighting you. If my desire to fight remains in me, then I know the desire to protect life is in you. It's why neither Raditz nor Soba are dead. Deep down, you care, and we are not alone. Goku reached into his gi and pulled out a scouter. Black's eyes widened as he hears Bardock's voice. If Bardock, his father, had understood that the Saiyans could be more than death and destruction, then what did all of this mean for him? Black's eyes filled with tears. He understood now. Bardock, a Saiyan who had realized that his race could be more than killing machines, had passed on this wisdom to them. Goku outstretched his arm to his other half. Kakarot, I am you. Black's voice trembles as he replies, and I'm you. Goku placed a hand on Black's chest, and in that moment, a profound energy envelops them. But that was one hell of a fight, right? Yeah, it was. The ground trembles as their form blend into one, harmonizing perfectly. As the light fades, Goku stands alone. The other fighters looked on in awe and relief. Nail recognized what he did. That was something akin to Namekian fusion, wasn't it? Goku nodded. In other world, Suppu had explained how it worked. He couldn't have been able to do this with anyone else, like the Namekians can, but he could synchronize with himself. He didn't think he could do it at first, but the more he fought Black, the more he understood him, and the more it made sense to him. The Yardrat and the Galactic Patrol heal all of those who are injured. Amongst the crowd, a woman looks on at Goku. She couldn't believe the battle she just witnessed, but Goku just smiled at her, and she smiled back. The group returns to Yardrat, but the negative energy remained spreading. Soba approached Goku, his eyes filled with pride.
I'm proud of you, boy.
clapping Goku on the shoulder, but Tarble interrupted. This is all fine and well, but what about the negative energy spreading? Goku smirks. Goku instructed everyone to give him some energy, with Raditz being the first one to step up. He wanted to save his planet too. Namekians, Yardrat humans, everyone poured their energy into Goku as he sparkled into Super Saiyan God. He rose up, looking at the darkened world. It had gone through so much pain and destruction, but also so many good memories, so much adventure, so much hope. Goku launched the double helix of life into the planet, purifying the negative energy, cleansing the world and all those around it. Once again, Yardrat blossomed with life, as Goku looked at it with a smile and said, "I love you. I'm so proud of you." Goku turns to the Yardrat elders, bowing his head lightly. "I know I've been initiated, but I understand if you don't want me to be Kami." The elders exchange glances before one of them steps forward, shaking his head. "Well, Pibara won't stop giving us nightmares otherwise. But either way, you have proven your worth, not just in battle, but in spirit. You are more than deserving." With that, Goku is crowned as Kami of Yardrat. As the festivities wind down, Goku looks around at his friends, his allies, and the people of Yardrat. Shin and Beerus also enjoyed a wonderful feast that, at least for a while, kept them preoccupied from the fact that they've been killed. As everyone returns to their home worlds, Granola shakes Goku's hand, hoping they will meet again, while Broly was reunited with his father, though he didn't quite approve of Broly having brought Ba along with him. Surely that was an invasive species, right? Raditz hugged 18, and was then hugged by 17 and 16. Goku watched everyone celebrate, but then Nail tapped his shoulder, telling him that it was time to go. Goku said he'd be right back, as Hatsuka and Soba smiled at him. They knew everything was going to be okay for now. The scenery on planet Namek provided a stark contrast to the battles they endured. He heads to the cave where it all began, where he first saw the visions that set him on this path. The cave felt different now. No longer foreboding, but peaceful and calm. He steps inside, the memories of his journey flooding back, seeing them all in a new light. This time, there were no visions, no cryptic messages, no warnings. The cave was silent, a reflection of a newfound peace within Goku himself. He stands still for a moment, taking in the quiet. Back then, he was left dumbfounded. He didn't think he was worthy of the Dragon Balls. But now, Shira takes a deep breath and smiles softly, looking up proudly as he says, "I know. I have my answer now." Peace has truly returned to the universe. Goku has just been going around the different galaxies, doing acts of service, making sure everyone knew that he really wasn't evil. He even goes back to Earth to check on Kami, as Kami actually apologizes to him for giving him bad advice. But Goku eventually finds a castle completely engulfed in flames, one which he puts out using a Kiai. The Ox King thanks him profusely, as he says that his daughters told him everything about him. That's when Chi-Chi appears from behind, saying that she came as soon as she heard, but it seemed like Goku has it handled. "Hey, it's you!"
Hey yourself. I could have put that out if I wasn't on patrol.
"Seems like I came down for nothing." "Not for nothing. I've got a few more planets to visit. You wanna come?"
I don't know. There's this old wizard that escaped recently. Are you gonna tell on me on your brother if I go with you?
Wouldn't dream of it. Plus, I took care of that goat wizard already. He wasn't so tough once I used Force Spirit Fission. You better not jeopardize the universe again. And risk your job being boring? No way. But Chi-Chi's communicator goes off. It's Raditz. Beerus had just contacted them. Apparently, his brother is in town and seeking trouble. He wants Broly, Raditz, Vegeta, Goku, and Soba up there ASAP. Goku was excited to know what this was about. Take a rain check?
If the universe is still here by the time you get back.
Goku smiles at her, locking onto Soba's key and teleporting away, and wondering just what the hell a tournament was. Whatever it could be, he knew he could rely on his Yardrat training and his Saiyan nature to get him through. The end.